Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, joining us as we gather together to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, and all that sorts of good stuff. And joining me here today, of course, is the one and the only Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
John, it's a fantastic Tuesday, isn't it?
It is a fantastic Tuesday, and because it's a fantastic Tuesday, fresh off shooting, I think it was your first round of shooting stuff for your new show, All Rise, over at CBS, is Erin Cummings, who forgot to pull over a microphone again, but here we go.
I did. We were so busy talking about other things. Yes, and I want to apologize to Curtis, who wrote in last week, who does the tours over at Warner Brothers, and I was supposed to say hi. I did not realize that on Friday we would be shooting on location. We were downtown at the Federal Building, which was super cool when the buses drove by that said All Rise on them and the crew cheered. So, yes, make sure, I'll give you the info at the end of the episode for where people can catch that.
Well, when does All Rise start to air on CBS?
Well, I'll say it now then. It starts September 23rd. It'll be Monday nights at 9 p.m. on CBS. And by the way, for those of you who are following me on Twitter because of my insomnia this morning, even though I was Googling what is the emoji for a butthole, I still managed to make it to Dunkin'. So I'm a little hopped up on caffeine, and
right
so
in the world.
I'm just going to warn you right now, I don't know what's going to happen with this.
What is the emoji for butthole?
There isn't one.
That's what I thought.
I'm not quite sure.
I just put a star. I was looking for, I was looking for a starfish. Don't you remember Limp Bizkit's album Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavored water?
Yeah, but I don't think that would have caught on with a lot of people.
Maybe that'll be viral marketing for cats.
I just ended up putting a star.
Well, that'll work.
Yeah.
All right, listen, guys, we do have a bunch of things we need to talk about here today. But before we do, I want to encourage you, before we get started with the show, a couple things that you guys can do. First of all, make sure you click on the subscribe button. Become a subscriber here on the John Campea YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy these types of videos. And make sure that you leave a comment to add your voice to the discussion. And listen, if you want your comment or question read on the show, just use the super chat feature. It guarantees your comment or question gets read in a video. And also, it's a great way to support the channel as well. Okay, with that down, and before we get to our main topics, we got one little thing here to get to off the top, and that is this. Now, we've known for a little while that there is a new Rambo movie coming, Last Blood. They dropped their first teaser for it a little while ago. Personally, for what this movie is, I thought it was a borderline perfect. I thought it was a borderline perfect first teaser for something called Last Blood. Well, today, a new trailer for Last Blood aired, although right now I don't know if you can find the full frame version of it. What happened was Sylvester Stallone took the full, widescreen version of the trailer and just chopped off the ends to put it in an Instagram video and put that up. But hey, that's what we had to see. We watched it. I prefer the first trailer, to be honest with you. This one is meant to be more of a green band trailer. I still ate it up. And I really like the way the trailer begins with the Colonel, his buddy from the first
Colonel Troutman.
Colonel Troutman, thank you. The first Rambo movie, the lines in there. I like near the end when he's going in for the stabbing motion and they cut back and forth between him in one of the earlier movies and now. I thought that was kind of clever. They gave us a little bit better of an idea of the story itself. So while I did not like it as much as the first one, I still got to say I enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see it. What did you think about it?
Well, I mean, look, I've loved Rambo since I saw First Blood all those years ago. I'm a huge fan. This if we're going to review trailers, like you said, I love that first trailer that dropped, the Red Band trailer. But this trailer, they kept intercutting from Rambo from back in the day,
right,
doing the same motions that he's doing in this movie with the arrows and the knives. I'm like, I get it. I get it. I'm like, you don't need to remind me of what Sylvester Stallone looked like 35 years ago when he was playing Rambo then. I like grizzled old heroes that come back. Give me Unforgiven. You've already sold me on this movie. I wanted to feel that I learned more about the story, but look, this is a small nitpick. I can't wait to see this movie. I can't wait to see Stallone just eviscerate dudes. When they did Rambo, the fourth Rambo,
right,
I could not believe how awesomely bloody that movie was. He killed dudes in the best ways. I had so much fun watching that movie. I'm getting all excited. I hope he does the same thing in this movie. And we're no longer in the jungle. We're sort of in the dusty Southwest. I know there's Mexican drug cartels. I love my Mexican drug cartels. I think they make the best villains. You can have handsome, charismatic dudes that are really rich that also kill other dudes. I like that. I think that seeing Rambo against drug cartels, it's a match made in action film heaven, John.
Erin, you had a chance to watch this trailer this morning.
did.
What did you think about it?
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And I will say, I liked the intercutting of the younger version of Rambo. I liked it because for a newer audience who maybe didn't see the original version all those years ago, this is a way of showing, hey, this is somebody that has stood the test of time. This is a character that you can not only watch this movie and see this story, but you can also go back and see the genesis of the story. And I also say, you know what? Good for Sylvester Stallone. This is a guy who could not get arrested in Hollywood and said, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm going to make my own movies, and just wrote his own ticket to Hollywood and continues. He knows what his audience wants to see him doing. He's not trying to do Interview with a Vampire. He's like, my audience wants to see Rocky. They want to see Rambo. I'm going to give it to them. And also, kudos to him. He looks really good. Like, this is a guy
it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid.
In the world of Mickey Rourke's, I mean, God bless his soul. I mean, I know he's not dead, but look at him. In the world of Mickey Rourke's, the fact that we have a Sylvester Stallone who is able to age in the way that he has, and yeah, he looks grizzled, but he looks like he's aged in a way that a human should. I like that. I like when my movie stars actually age. And I love the fact that he also is not afraid of saying, here's what I look like 30 years ago, here's what I look like now. 30 years ago, now.
That's true.
If I had more muscles than I did 35 years ago, I'd put a lot of those comparison pictures up too. Because I mean, it's crazy the guy his age. He is in his 70s now.
Yes.
And
wow.
He will still pop up his workout videos. And it's like, this is just stupid. I mean,
he lives on a different level. He lives on like a Tony Robbins jumping into freezing cold water every morning level.
But you know what we forget? There was a period of time there, and we forget about it. Much like we forget about Robert Downey Jr., there was a long period of time when he was like persona non grata in Hollywood. There was a period of time, in the, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, and there was a period of time when Stallone's star had faded, let's say that.
Sure.
And then it kind of felt like he came back. And I can't remember which came first, Rob. You will be able to tell me this. I can't remember if Balboa came first or that last Rambo movie. But regardless, he came back to the franchises that made him what he was. He got real gritty with that last Rambo movie.
Yeah. It was great.
You bring guns? No. Then you ain't changing nothing. Like that was amazing. And then he did Balboa, which I think is one of the best Rocky movies. I completely adore and love that film. And then, he does Creed. He gets an Academy Award nomination not long ago. And now he's coming back with Last Blood, which, supposed to be a play on This Is the Last One. I'll believe that when I see it. But I'm excited about this. I like the trailer. Guys, the question is, what did you think about this new Rambo Last Blood trailer? Jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay. With that done, let's now move on to our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them by simply going to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, just fill out the form with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. Okay, let's now move on to the first main topic today. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us from J Rams, who writes, "Hey John, it was recently announced that Michael Rooker will be in Fast 9 next summer. I think his menacing presence can be assumed he will be a villain for the team to take on in the next installment. Rooker's career was suddenly resurrected with Guardians of the Galaxy, and now he can add another big franchise to his resume. What do you think we can see from him in the Fast franchise? John, what are your thoughts? Thanks." And yes, for those of you who have not heard yet, Michael Rooker, who, by the way, to me, yes, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy. But the movie I will always think of him from isn't Mississippi Burning, isn't JFK. I will think of him in that other James Gunn film, Slither. I freaking love Slither, and I love him in that. Doctor gave me a prescription. I love him in that. He's amazing. Anyway, so for those of you who missed out on the news, he is indeed, yes, going to be in Fast 9. This comes to us from Deadline. Guardians of the Galaxy's Michael Rooker has joined the Universal's Fast and Furious 9 in the role of Buddy in what is a last-minute addition to the production, which is currently underway. Rooker is on a roll with a slew of parts upcoming in 2020, features including in Blumhouse Sony's Fantasy Island on February 28th, and Paramount's 21 Laps, Monster Problems on March 6th, in addition to Amazon MRC's The Dark Tower pilot. And again, of course, I will always think of him in being in Slither. Couple of interesting things here about this that catch my attention. Number one, they refer to it as a last-minute addition. That doesn't sound good to me. Unless it's a last minute, we just didn't have somebody filling this role yet, or is this a situation of, hell, we're just kind of winging this whole movie. Let's just add this character at the last second for no reason. And then if that's the case, that's worrisome to me. That's a little bit worrisome to me. But regardless, Rob, I'm always of the opinion that adding talent is never a bad idea. This guy has a very unique screen charisma about him, that is uniquely his own. There's something that he brings to the screen when he's on that very few people have, and I enjoy watching him and stuff. Look, he's not one of the top 50 greatest thespians in the world, but I enjoy seeing him on screen. I have a good time when he's on screen, and aside from the fact that this last-minute addition thing and this may show that this production is a mess, whatever, I like the addition in principle. What do you think about it?
I think it's great. When someone says last-minute addition, I usually tend to think either one actor fell out, scheduling conflict or something, and he stepped in. I think that was an inspired choice. I've always, ever since Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is a very disturbing movie. That was the first time I ever saw Michael Rooker, and he was incredible in that film. And he has a hot toy, John. I've brought his hot toy in this room before.
That's right.
Shown it on these shows.
His Yondu hot toy is amazing.
His Yondu hot toy. I'm a huge fan of Michael Rooker. I think it's great. And I think, he was like the rival driver in Tom Cruise's Days of Thunder.
Oh, that's right.
Where Tom Cruise played Cole Trickle. Because everybody's named Cole Trickle. But Michael Rooker was his rival. And he was great. And I can't wait to see him behind the wheel of a car again. I hope he gets to drive a lot of urban mayhem, vehicular mayhem in our cities. And I want to see him responsible for that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Erin, what do you think about the addition of Rooker to this?
I think it's great. He has, what I love about his performances, and this goes back to his days doing video games and voiceovers for animation. He has this vocal quality that you don't even need to see his face to know he's the bad guy. I want to hear him do a menacing laugh. I think that would be really exciting. And I love him from Walking Dead. That's where I really know him from. And I'm not super worried about the last minute addition. I agree with Robert, could have, stepped in. But also, let's not forget that Vin Diesel was also a last minute addition to Saving Private Ryan.
That's true, yeah.
Sometimes a writer, and especially with like the Fast franchise, I feel like that's also a world in which they kind of have a liberty. They're not so stuck to a specific narrative where they can't go, hey, let's just write a couple scenes and throw them in there. Maybe they'll work with the final cut. Maybe they won't. And maybe he'll sort of be in some of the scenes, and most of his real scenes will be shown as like extra features or something. Regardless, I'm glad he's in the franchise. And I hope that this is just setting him up to continue, because I'm sure that we're going to have at least 10 more of these Fast movies.
Probably, undoubtedly, and they're going to end up in outer space at some point. Guys, the question is, what do you think about this edition? Do you think they're overcrowding it? Do you think this is a perfect type of guy? Do you maybe not like Michael Rooker like the rest of us do, but maybe you don't? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's move on to our second main topic today. And our second topic today gets submitted to us from Patreon supporter Don J. And thank you so much, Don, for being a Patreon supporter. Hey, John. According to The Verge and Bloomberg, Apple TV Plus will launch in November at a price point of $10 a month. Only 5 original shows are scheduled at launch, including The Morning Show with Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell, and the Amazing Stories reboot. That one's being done by Steven Spielberg, or at least in some way involving Steven Spielberg. With such limited programming at launch, do you see anyone being psyched to join this service? With only 5 shows and really nothing else, I don't see any reason to be excited for this service. All right, so in this new world we're living in, where everything is dominated by streaming services, obviously, we've got Disney Plus coming. We already got Amazon. We got Hulu. We got Netflix. We got the NBC Universal one coming. We've got HBO Max coming. In a world that we already have HBO Now and HBO Go and whatever else. We've got ESPN Plus. We've got this Plus. We got that Plus. So many of them. Apple is entering into the fray. Now, a little while ago, Apple did their big introduction, event where they gathered a bunch of people together and they got on these big stages to talk about it, and it was boring as crap. There was I just remember we watched that, Rob, and I remember I was watching. It's like I saw nothing to get excited about. I mean, I saw them talk about some things that could be some kind of interesting programming, but nothing in that presentation at all jumped up at me and said, I got to get this service for this. Now, for those of you who are a little bit behind and not quite sure about all the details, here's what's going on. This is the report from Bloomberg itself saying the company Apple is considering offering the first 3 episodes of some programs, followed by weekly installments. The people that they spoke to said, by the way, I like that. I like that approach. Anyway, Netflix tends to release whole seasons at once for binging, while AT&T's HBO and Disney Hulu often release episodes weekly. The service will launch globally in over 150 countries, which is a big difference from Disney Plus, which is launching in like 4 or 5. Apple's initial slate of shows will include The Morning Show, Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories, See with Jason Momoa, Truth Be Told with Octavia Spencer, and a documentary series about extravagant houses called Home. Now, that report is coming from Bloomberg. A couple of interesting things here that I think are worth noting. Number one, the launching point at $10 a month. Is that so bad? I actually don't think that's a bad starting price point. I mean, it's not as competitive as Disney's starting price point, but still, considering the fact that there are some idiots out there, namely me, who paid for CBS All Access just so I could watch one show. I mean, I got CBS All Access just so I could watch Discovery. And I've done that sort of thing before. Launching with 5 programs at $10 a month, provided they keep it at $10 a month as they roll out and expand, and we'll see what other kind of shows they add to their library, depending on what rights are left for different shows. That's not bad. The best part of this, Rob, as I alluded to already, though, is I like that they're adopting the strategy of week after week. This could serve them very well moving forward. Because if any of these shows are good, you're going to get the advantage of what you and I were talking about, that prolonged every single week. People get to talk about it again, as opposed to, like, say, a Netflix, which drops an entire season. People talk about it for 2 or 3 days, and then they don't talk about it anymore. So that could serve them well. The other big differential thing in there, of course, was the 150 countries at launch. That's really a testimony to the global reach that Apple as a service already has, and they've been spent years already laying the foundation with distribution rights and territorial rights. So that's really a testament to that. That gives them a bit of a leg up. But Rob, I'll tell you, I'm still not excited about it. Look, when it comes down to it, it's about the programming. The service is good. The price is good. It's a reliable platform. Great, but you've got to have the programming. And right now, they have done a piss poor job of getting anybody excited about the programming. Like this morning show, that looks interesting. The Jason Momoa one, Octavia Spencer, looks interesting. Steven Spielberg, okay, that's interesting, but they've done a terrible job to get anybody excited about it. So as of right now, when this thing launches, I have no intent right now of signing up for this damn thing. Do you?
No. Look, I'm a huge Apple fan. I've been an Apple fan since the mid-'80s. I use their equipment all day long. But this, like you said, I did watch the trailer for the morning show that dropped, I think, yesterday. The extended trailer. It's Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon and Steve Carell. Now, it looks good. It looks like it's a very slickly made show. But do I want to watch a show about a morning talk show rivalry? I mean, is that... When I'm watching The Boys and, I'm watching Mindhunter and I'm watching all of these, some really quality television now, I don't know if Apple, even the morning show, is as well made as it looks and as great as the actors are, the actual subject matter does not ignite my intellect. And while I want to see a new Amazing Stories that Spielberg produced, who's making it? Like, who's in it? Do we know anything about it? Like, who's the showrunner? And I just, in this day and age, it's the shows themselves. It's not like we talked about yesterday. I have no brand loyalty to Netflix. I will watch Netflix if they put on good programming. You know, I will watch Amazon because they have good shows. That's it. If the shows don't interest me, why should I sign up for the service?
Erin, you're seeing this. Do you right now, as a consumer, do you see anything on the Apple Plus platform right now that is like getting your blood flowing, thinking, yeah, I got to go and sign up for this thing?
100%. I'm in. I'm signing up. No question. Number one, yes. Okay. I know that there's only 5 shows right now, but they have 30 shows on their slate that are in various stages of production. And these 5 happen to be the ones that they're launching first. Mojan Aria. Mojan, Mojean, Aria, Aria, I believe. Look him up. He's a phenomenal actor. I'm calling it now. You're going to thank me. He was my scene partner in our acting class together. And he was showing me clips on his iPhone from C, which he's in with Jason Momoa. And it is phenomenally shot. It is so beautiful. I don't even really know what the show is about, but I'm excited to see it just for the sheer awesomeness of what I've already seen. Tim Cook has gone on record and said that what they're doing on Apple Plus is like nothing that's ever been done before. I'm intrigued by that, and I'm not surprised that they haven't shot their load already with everything that it's going to be. I have a feeling that they are going to be making bigger announcements as we get right up to it. And also one thing you have to keep in mind, Apple has the budget. They have so much money. They will never run out of money. They can afford to get the best showrunners, the best actors, the best writers, the best directors. They can afford it, and they're hemorrhaging money on this. But you know what? This is a well that will not ever run dry. So I'm in. I'm really excited to see what they have, and I'm going to pay. And I think that hopefully what I've also read is that they might offer like the first month free for people who already have an Apple TV, which a lot of people do. So I'm in. I'm in. I'm at least going to give it a first month. And if all their shows suck, which I kind of doubt, then maybe I'll go away. But I'm definitely going to give it a shot for sure.
Well, I think you make a really good point. The fact that they're sparing no expense.
Yeah.
And we are going to have...
Well, Spielberg, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the talent.
We are going to have some great... but again, it seems like we're getting TV shows from all the same people. You know, and I wonder, are they going to spread themselves too thin? I mean, I can't wait to see... Look, this golden age is rolling on. The great thing about Apple, which is the same thing that Netflix had going for it, but who knows how long that lasts, is they do have they have money. Mm-hmm. And when they can afford to like make a 10-episode show and spare no expense, we're going to get some quality programming, no doubt. And I want to see what they're able to do. And at least, regardless, we're going to live through an age, at least for the next 5 or 10 years, where we're going to get some great, really great programming.
Well, especially Amazing Stories. I mean, as an 80s baby, I remember Amazing Stories, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite television shows, and that was with the limited capabilities that they had in the mid 80s. I can't even fathom what they're going to be able to do with it now. I am excited. I am curious to see how much involvement Steven Spielberg has. I like to think that he's going to have his finger a little bit more deeply rooted in this than just putting his name on it, since it was a TV show that he was so integrally involved with in the 80s.
Yeah.
Look, I think quoting the resources of Apple is going to be a key thing here, because they will have the resources to do whatever they want to do. I am still just at this point that I am stunned that they are doing such a bad job to get people excited about it. Because, by the way, launching with 5 shows, Disney Plus ain't launching with anything more than that. I mean, they'll have a back library, but they're launching with what? Mandalorian, some Lady and the Tramp I couldn't give 2 squirts of piss about.
Come on.
And
that was very visual.
And, and 1 or 2. So let's not be too put off by them launching with 5. It's just that right now, it's mid-August. We're getting close to September. This thing is launching in November against Disney Plus when it's launching. And you've got everybody buzzing about Disney Plus, but with Apple, with all of their money, they have failed to get excitement generating for this thing. And
when is Disney Plus launching?
Also in November.
Well, maybe by the time people are done talking about, maybe they're letting people talk as much as they want about Disney Plus, and then when the excitement starts to die down, that's when they're going to swoop in so that people are talking only about Apple right before they both launch, and people are already done talking about Disney. Maybe that's a strategic move on their part.
I don't know. It's you're launching The Mandalorian against morning. I don't know. I just feel like they've got to do a better job of this thing. But who knows where maybe it'll be an entirely different story a year from now. Like that's going to be I wish I could have a crystal ball and look 1 year into the future right now to see how we're talking about where Apple TV Plus is and where Disney Plus is at that moment. It's going to be interesting to see. All right, question here is, guys, what do you think about all that? Are you excited about the Apple TV Plus service right now? What do you think about the price point? What do you think about their opening offerings and when they're opening at the same time? Are you excited about it? Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's now move on to our third main topic today. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us from William Huntington, who writes, in a world of perfect additions to many movies, this is near the top. Tracy Morgan is going to be in the new Coming to America movie with Eddie Murphy. I was excited before, but now I'm almost shaking. Do you agree that Morgan is a perfect kind of talent to add to a movie about this? And of course, we have been talking for a while now about this new Coming to America thing. Prince Akeem is now, he finds out he has a son in America. He's got to go back to America because his father's last wish is that he find this son of his and prep him to be one of the crown princes, or maybe the crown prince, I'm not sure. Anyway, the information comes as, this is from the Hollywood Reporter, who writes, Tracy Morgan has joined Eddie Murphy in Coming to America 2, Paramount's sequel to its popular 1988 comedy. Wesley Snipes, Leslie Jones, and Kiki Lane are among the new cast members, while Arsenio Hall, James Earl Jones, and Shari Headley are among the returnees. Leslie Jones, is playing the son's mother, a woman who had a one-night stand with Akeem, leading to pregnancy, and Morgan will play Jones's brother, a hustler named Reem. So look, I've already gone on record. I'm excited about this movie. Now, is it about 15 years too late? Yes, it should have come out a long time ago. But still, and right now, there was the McConaissance. We're in a little bit of a Murphy-sance right now because he's got his comedy specials coming to Netflix. The Dolomite trailer looks fantastic. We've got this now coming, which a lot of people are very excited about. As far as do I think Tracy Morgan is the perfect addition to this? I'm not sure. But take that with a grain of salt. Whereas everybody in the world absolutely loves 30 Rock, I thought it was okay. I thought 30 Rock was okay. I was never the biggest fan of 30 Rock. The only other big thing was, there's the original OG, or the last OG, which I've seen a few episodes of. I like him in that. Other than that, the thing I have seen Tracy Morgan in the most, and I kid you not, and it's only because of my brother-in-law Ray, when he's over, he puts this on the TV for whatever reason, is, oh gosh, what's the name of it again? It's a scare show. It's a prank scare show. And he's the host of some reality prank scare show where friends set each other up for scary pranks. And I can't even remember the name of it, but that's where I see him the most. So I don't know if him being added to Coming to America is the perfect addition to it, but I'll tell you this. I read it and I smiled. I'm looking forward to seeing him in it. The perfect one. Can I think of some other names I put in there ahead of him? Yeah, but I like the addition, so I'm for this. What do you think about it?
Well, I think look, I love Coming to America, and I have to say, I'm really excited to see it, but this is going to seem so weird coming from me. I don't like the idea that Prince Akeem has an illegitimate son. Because one of the things about Coming to America that was so great was there was a sweetness to it. There was a sweetness to Eddie Murphy's character and his relationship with Arsenio Hall.
He was no virgin because at the beginning of that movie, he had female servants cleaning the royal penis.
I understand. But overall, and I just don't like Prince Akeem being tawdry. I like that I just think that no, it's fine. But I'm really excited to see this movie. I can't wait to see it. And I think Tracy Morgan, the presence of the comic talent in this film. I think, and they're bringing back, like, John Amos is coming back. I can't wait to see this movie. I don't care who's in it. The fact that they had Tracy Morgan, so much, and his name is Reem. I'm so much the better. I mean, I can't wait to see Coming to America. I love Coming to America. The fact that they're doing this, to me, it's like The Color of Money. Paul Newman's movie, The Color of Money, was made 30 years after the original The Hustler. Actually, maybe not 30 years, maybe only like 25 years. I love when they do this kind of stuff. When they bring back the whole cast 30 years later and give us a movie. Because as long as it's good. I can't wait.
Now, just to be clear, though, I from what I understand, I think he also just finds out he has that kid. Like,
right.
It's not he was being an absentee father and was neglecting.
No, of course not. Right. But
Robert doesn't like the idea that he was out having a one-night stand.
But
I don't.
Did he not have? Did he not have a quick encounter in the original movie before? I can't. Okay. So there's that. So I guess he did
Arsenio Hall was in the hot tub.
That's right.
With the sister of the girl that he ended up marrying because he told her that he was the king.
Prince.
He was the prince, right? Mm-hmm.
Got it. Well, what do you think about this edition?
Well, first of all, Robert, how much more can I adore you? But like that was just so endearing. And while yes, I agree with you, I think that if the casting of the woman he had the one night stand with was anyone but Leslie Jones, I'd agree with you. But the way that I'm imagining this one night stand went down with a Leslie Jones who is what is the term? Shrinking violet?
She was the aggressor.
Oh, for sure. That poor Akeem did not know what hit him. And that's what I think adds the comedic element to his one night stand, was that if his one night stand in America was with Leslie Jones, who just like put the wapow on him, then I think that's actually funny. And I love Tracy Morgan. My favorite Tracy Morgan character is Brian Fellows from SNL. I'm Brian Fellows, where he has like the animals. He's just, go back, find it on SNL. It's very, very funny. I loved him on 30 Rock. I thought he was one of my favorite characters from 30 Rock. And I'm so excited about this news. I need this movie to come out tomorrow.
Well, question here is, guys, what do you think about the addition of Tracy Morgan? Are you really excited about like some of these guys are okay with it like me? Or maybe you got another opinion on that? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's now move on to the fourth main topic today. And our fourth main topic today is sent in to us from Tom. Oh, I got excited. I thought I said Brady for a second. Tom Bradley writes in, "Hi, John. I'm not going to say I was dying to see The Hunt or anything, but I was disappointed." What's that?
Get it?
Oh,
dying to see The Hunt.
Well played. Tom Bradley. Robert.
I'm not going to say I was dying to see The Hunt or anything, but I was disappointed that it got pulled from release. Wondering if you saw that Jason Blum is now saying it may end up getting released anyway at some point. Do you think they'll do that, and is it a good idea? Thanks. So, yeah, one of the stories that's been going around for the last week or so is the fact, The Hunt got pulled in the light of things that were going on in the world and stuff like that. My point of view on it has always been, I always thought that this was good. The look of the movie made it seem to me like it was a marginal movie anyway. What I mean by marginal is that I have a feeling there was probably a very close conversation amongst executives about, do we put this in theaters? Or is this a straight-to-home video play? It just feels to me like it could have easily been a straight-to-home video movie in the first place. So I always thought that the decision to pull it probably wasn't that big of a deal in the first place. But it became a big issue, obviously, because of things going on in the world. Anyway, the question's been going around, could it ultimately get a release? And Jason Blum from Blumhouse is kind of suggesting that maybe it was. When asked in an interview, this is from our friends over at Slash'em who quoted this. When asked in an interview with Vulture if there was a possibility the film could be released in the future, Blum responded that there was definitely a chance. I hope so. I learned a lot of lessons, Blum, who produced The Hunt through his Blumhouse Productions, added. If I was offered the choice to make the movie again, I would say yes. We definitely made marketing mistakes, and we made plenty of mistakes along the way. So I've learned a lot. It might change how I would position movies and how I would consult on the marketing of the movies, but actually the making of the movies? No. And I really like Jason Blum, by the way. He's got such a kind of a level-headed way of looking at a lot of stuff, particularly when it comes to the movie business. Look, Rob, I've been saying for a while that the one way or the other, this movie is getting released. The only question in my head right now is whether or not this is going to be a release in theaters or whether it's going to be a release on Netflix, Hulu, whatever the streaming service of choice may be, whoever it's going to be with. One way or the other, this is going to be presented to an audience. I doubt at this point it'll get a theatrical run. I think there's just too much baggage attached to it at this point to get a theatrical run. But this is a movie that could get a lot of attention if they put it up on a streaming service sometime in the next couple of months, and could do pretty well on streaming as well. This could be the best home for it. So I think it's getting released, definitely. I just don't see it getting released as a theatrical play at this point. You're looking at this, Rob. Number one, do you think it will get released at all? And then number two, if it does get released, do you think it'll go a theatrical route or just straight to a streaming service?
I think it's absolutely going to get released, for sure. I mean, no doubt in my mind. The humans hunting humans genre, we talked about this before on the show, goes way back to 1932's Most Dangerous Game. That's based on a piece of literature.
What was
1924.
24?
Richard Collier wrote a short story for Collier's.
Sure, but the movie was 32.
Right.
Yeah.
It was based on a short story written by Richard.
Yeah,
and of course done best by Jean-Claude Van Damme. And what was it? Hard Target?
Hard Target by John Woo.
There's Surviving the Game. There is a
Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity.
There's a rich history of these movies. Now, what I find interesting is guns were designed for one thing, handgun, to kill people. And this idea that if there's, why don't we stop mass shootings in America instead of preventing movies from coming out? I think, these are fictional things. This is, again, a long history of this in genre cinema. And I understand they're trying to be sympathetic to what goes on in America in real life. I get that. But you know what? The way we're going, we're going to be having mass shootings here every week. And I think that pulling a movie from release as opposed to dealing with the problem that got the movie pulled from release is absurd. I think it's absurd, and I think, when does it end? I want to see this movie. I think more importantly, this movie is about elites hunting the less fortunate, the deplorables. It's got a political satire element to it that's not really being talked about. And with the election cycle coming, we're absolutely going to see this movie. And I want to watch it.
Erin, do you think Blum's got a point right now? Do you think this is one that will eventually get played to the audiences? And if so, where do you think it'll end up?
100%. And they actually, by pulling it and causing all this conversation, they've done themselves a massive favor by giving them
half the people talking about this movie before this all happened.
100%. Yeah. And so now the people are going to be running. I mean, I can guarantee you, I never would have seen this movie in the theaters. I absolutely will see this movie now when it's streaming. And that's probably what their end game goal was in a roundabout way, get people talking about it. But I also agree with Robert. I mean, it's so absurd to me, the idea that this movie being shown would be insensitive, because he's right. It's a movie. It's a story that's been told for almost 100 years now. It's not anything new. And why is it that it's so upsetting now when we have people hunting deplorables, but it wasn't upsetting when we had people hunting scantily clad women, or when we had people hunting homeless veterans, or when we had people hunting black people, or when we had people hunting it boggles my mind. It's so frustrating. And I agree, the problem is not these movies. The problem is much bigger, but this isn't that kind of show. But yeah, I'm going to go out and see it, and I think a lot of people will too. So good on Blumhouse for knowing exactly how to market a film.
Question here is, guys, what do you think is going to happen here? Do you think this thing will get released? I think Erin brings up a great point. Look, this could have all been a very big taking advantage of a situation to get more buzz about a movie that wasn't getting a lot of buzz, and maybe that's it too. I don't know. What do you think is going to happen with this? Is it going to get released? If so, where? I want to know your thoughts on that. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know what you think. All right. With that down, let's move on to the final main topic today. And our final main topic today gets sent in to us from Gabriel Blum, who writes, Greetings and salutations, John. I just read that Sony is going to re-release Spider-Man Far From Home with some in-theaters extra footage on August 30th. Apparently, it is director John Watt's version of the film. Disney did something similar with Endgame. A lot of people were angry with the extra stuff in Endgame. How do you think the entire fandom will think of this? Thanks, and bring on the filthy. All right. Thanks a lot for that. And yes, I still hate the fact that people use the term re-release when this movie is still in theaters. It is not a re-release, folks. It's still in theaters. Anyway, that aside, we are getting Spider-Man Far From Home, in their terminology, getting a re-released at the end of August with some new footage. This is the official word coming to us from Variety, who writes, Sony Pictures is re-releasing Spider-Man Far From Home with a new action scene. Starting August 29th, a new extended cut featuring 4 minutes of never-before-seen action sequence will be released in theaters in the United States and Canada. The film will also be available in IMAX and large formats in select locations. So, right away, guys, we're seeing one major difference between this stunt of a re-release than what the stupid stunt re-release of Endgame was, which is this is actually a little bit of a different cut of the movie. Like with the Endgame re-release, it was the exact same movie 100% from start to finish. The difference here is this is actually a slightly different cut. Now, I don't know if this is only 4 extra minutes or if they're just referring to the 4 extra minute scenes, but even if it's only 4 minutes, it's a little bit of a different cut, so I have no problem them calling it that. But I will tell you what, this is bloody stupid. This is stupid, and I like this movie. I like Spider-Man Far From Home quite a bit. I saw it multiple times in theaters. I might go see it again. But now I'm not. I might have gone to go see it again, but I ain't now, just on principle, because this is fucking stupid. You know what this is? I said this before when they did it with Endgame. I will say it again. This is the movie business trying to dip into that ridiculous, almost industry-killing nonsense, this DLC, this downloadable content thing of video games. Like, oh, you paid us to see the movie? Great. Wait a little while. Hey, you want to see a little something extra? Pay us again. It's like, fuck you. I hate this. I absolutely hate this. And look, I hope nobody goes to see this. I hope 100% nobody goes to see this. And I don't think a lot of people will. Plus, how dumb do you have to be? Why would you spend another $20 to go see this movie when this thing's coming out on home video in about 3 weeks anyway, where you're gonna, if you're a fan of this movie already, you're probably gonna buy a home video version of it. And guess what? These extra minutes are gonna be there anyway. Why pay again? I hate this. I hope people avoid this like the plague, because I want a message sent very clear to these studios and to the theaters and to the distributors. We will not stand for this bullshit. If you've got a version of your movie that you want to play to the audience, play it. If you've got your real version of it, don't pull that crap. Because if we go and support movies like this, if we go and support stupid, dumb stunts like this, what's going to happen is more and more studios are going to do it, and they're going to put out a 105-minute version of the movie, but now come see the true version of the movie at 121 minutes. That's the real vision of the director. And more studios will start to pull this BS. We as film fans have got to say, no, fuck off. We are not going to go and support this. Don't pull this bullshit with us. We're going to stay at home. Thank you very much. And maybe, if you're lucky, I'll still buy a home video version of it, because even though I'm a fan of this movie, you just pissed me off. Anyway, this is nonsensical. This is so idiotic. I really, really hope fans will stand together and say, we will not take this kind of bullshit, because this is the beginning. This is them sticking their toes in the water to see how much we'll bend over. That's what they're doing. They are testing us to see how far we will bend over, whether we'll apply the lube ourselves and then say thank you afterwards. That's what they're testing to see. We've got to show them that no, do not start down this path. This is stupid. This is horrible. This is not friendly to the audience. Don't pull this shit. Give us your movie. Give it the version that is the true version of it. Take our money when we go to see it, and then you say thank you to us, you assholes. Anyway, Rob, you're hearing about this situation? Have you bought your advance tickets already?
Well, with the right girl and the right tools, bending over can be quite fun to do. I can just, I'm just going to say that. A little femdom play. Anyway, that's not for this show. But I look at it this way, John. It ain't show friends. It's show business. And what this is, Spider-Man: Far From Home has become one of Sony's. I think it's the most successful film. It passed
in history.
It passed Skyfall,
Yep.
which was their previous most successful movie, and I think this is sort of a victory lap. And the great thing is we don't have to go. I don't think this is going to become the norm because it's problematic to do in the first place. I mean, it takes time and effort and money, and I think to goose the home video release. It's good for, I think, the overall business. It gets people into the movie theaters. When people are going to movie theaters, that means the movie business is strong. They buy their refreshments. They go to the theaters. They pay money. Everybody's happy. Now, do I want to have this happen all the time? No. But for a movie like this, which is an event for Sony, it's their biggest grossing movie ever. I think, in a way, it's a way to have a little bit more fun with Spider-Man, a little bit more excitement. I think it's something to give back to the fans. I want to see this movie, and I want to see the action scene because I loved Spider-Man. I saw it twice, and I just hope they better release this extended version on home video. That's all I'm saying, because that will piss me off if I can't get it.
Aaron, with somebody who has the love of spiders that you do, what do you
I'm there.
What do you think about this quote unquote re-release strategy that they have here?
Well, I don't know why they're not just calling it Far From Home Director's Cut. Like, why are they saying re-release? Just say it's the director's cut. That's clearly what it is.
I don't even believe it is a director's cut.
Right.
I think they're just slapping in a deleted scene.
Do we know the new running time with the added 4 minutes?
If it is only 4 minutes, we should be able to determine that just by seeing the current running time of the movie. But I'm not sure what the grand total is right now.
Do we know if it's endgame running time?
Oh, no. Like Spider-Man Far From Home, I think, was right around the 2-hour mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was lean and mean. It was good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because, I have an issue with, like, when I go past 2 hours, then I have to wet my pants. So wasn't going to look forward to doing that again. But, I hear you, John, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. I do think it's kind of a shit move to give you a little bit and then say, just kidding, we're now releasing the real thing. It's one of my big problems with why it's the reason why my iPhone has this kind of back that is so cracked and jacked up is because I never want to buy a new iPhone because I'm pretty sure the new one will come out 5 days later. But that being said, I also agree with Robert in that this is not something that's done all the time. I don't think that it ever will be the norm because it is so expensive. It is very expensive to make those prints. It's very expensive to do the P&A. So I don't see this being an ongoing issue. But yeah, I mean, I also have to have you sitting next to me so that you can tell me when to cover my eyes because there might be a spider in the movie Spider-Man. Which I don't want to see.
I think you two are being innocently naive. Innocently naive, I say.
We're drinking the Kool-Aid of mass corporate movie.
If you don't think for a second that if they do this little stunt and they make an extra $18 million, if you don't think other studios aren't going to go, whoa, if you don't think that they're not all watching this right now and doing that and that they won't move on this as well, I'm telling you they will. I'm telling you they are testing us to see how far we will bend.
But let me ask you this. Is it any different from back in the day when a movie would be released on home video and then a little while later the director's cut would then be released and you'd have to go, we'd already purchased it, we'd all have to go back and buy the new one because if you love this movie, you want to see the director's cut. It was the same thing back then.
To a degree, but what I'll say was, the way I see the difference here and where I see similarities is this. The difference is once you move from the theatrical experience to home video, that's different. You're asking me to buy a different product now. And if you can do things to entice me to buy that new product, the home video as opposed to the theatrical thing, I'm down with that. Like I love that kind of stuff. But one of the things I hated back then and still do is when, all right, guys, come and buy Lord of the Rings on DVD with all these great features. Yay! And then 4 months later, now guys, come and buy Lord of the Rings on DVD again for 25 more minutes of features, which Robert Meyer Burnett may have worked on, and if so, then it was totally worth it. And then, like another six months later, now come and see the 4-hour cut of Lord of the Rings. Now that stuff annoyed me. And I kind of equate what's happening here to that practice. See, I didn't mind going out and buying the home video stuff, and if you entice me with special features, extended cuts, blah, 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 awesome. But then it was the double dipping, like Rob, like you were saying, where now we're going to put out another version of the DVD. And
right, that's what I'm saying. This is the same thing.
Hated that.
Okay.
Absolutely hated that. But I don't know. So guys, listen. What do you think about this? Are you of the more calm, rational thinking minds here of Erin Cummings and Robert Meyer Burnett thinking, oh, hey, look, this isn't a big deal? Or are you a little bit more frantic about this like me, saying this is this industry? It's not a coincidence that Endgame just did it. Now we got Spider-Man doing it. And you think this is the industry just testing us to see how much we'll take and say, thank you, sir. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know what you think. All right. With all of our main topics out of the way, guys, we're now going to go on to our new segment, Buy and Sell. Listen, there are a number of other things going on in the world of movies and movie news and entertainment that we don't have time to make main topics today, but we do want to make sure that you guys are caught up to date on everything going on. So let's jump over and start into it right now. First topic up here for Buy and Sell. We've got a brand new, looks like underwater horror movie called The Underwater with Kristen Stewart, T.J. Miller, and the great Vincent Cassel. Every male on the planet Earth should bend a knee to this guy because for no other reason at some point he was married to Monica Bellucci. Anyway, the movie opens in January. Rob, you had a chance to see this trailer. Buy or sell it?
Okay, I want to sell it. But I am a sucker for science fiction, horror, and underwater movies. But it's like it reminds me of those heady days when The Abyss, Deep Star 6, and Leviathan all came out at the same time. Only The Abyss was really any good. But I saw all three. So I'm going to go see this, but it doesn't look good to me. So I'm conflicted, John.
Conflicted, or Erin?
Can I buy it with the opportunity to take it back?
Yes, that you can
Okay,
do.
as long as there's a return
So he's
policy.
going to rent it.
Yeah, I'll buy it. But if I get it from, as long as I can return it.
Okay, Erin, buy or sell this one?
Definitely sell. First of all, as an actor, having done water scenes, I always cringe when I see any long extended scenes in water. I just think about how awful that must have been to shoot. But also, the whole beginning of the trailer, it's so contrived. Like, oh, here's Kristen Stewart, and she's in a bra, and now she's walking around, and we're seeing her half naked. Oh, and here's the old guy that's so annoyed with these young kids, and T.J. Miller's got his funny one-liner. These guys are so crazy, and then all of a sudden shit goes wrong. It's very contrived. I'm not interested. Next.
You know what? I'm going to buy it. And because while I completely agree, oh look, people going to the bottom of the ocean, they disturb something that hasn't been disturbed in forever. We just saw it in the Meg, and we've seen it 25 other times before that. But I'd be lying if I didn't tell you it at least got me intrigued. I felt it was a little bit creepy. I felt a little bit of the claustrophobia. So while I'm not super enthusiastic about it, I'm going to give this one a buy. All right, let's move on now to this next thing. Glow Star, speaking of The Hunt, Glow star Betty Gilpin, who was going to be in The Hunt. She's, of course, in Glow Season 3, I believe, is now out on Netflix at this moment. She's kind of a hot commodity right now. There's reports going on that she's probably going to be joining Chris Pratt in his new movie, Ghost Draft. Now, it's also going to star Handmaid's Tale and, of course, Chuck's Yvonne Strahovski, who I love. Directed by Chris McKay, written by Zach Dean. Ghost Draft follows a man drafted to fight in a future war where the fate of humanity relies on his ability to confront his past. It is unknown who Gilpin would be playing in the film, which is expected to begin production at the end of this summer. I'll start this thing off. I'm going to sell this. I think I need to get a better picture of it because I'm reading the description, I'm hearing the description. Look, I like her, I like Chris Pratt, I like Yvonne Strahovski. She's great. I love Handmaid's Tale, but right now there's something about this that isn't just catching me yet. So for right now, I'm going to sell it. Rob, buy or sell?
Buy. Anything that says future war or insinuates time travel, I don't care. I will watch it.
Erin.
Buy. I am a huge fan of Betty Gilpin. If you're not familiar with her work, check out season 1 of Glow. She has a huge range, and she was nominated for an Emmy for it. I think she's fantastic, and I'm so happy that she's having her moment. And also Yvonne Strahovski, my astronaut sister wife in Astronaut Wives Club. Obviously, I'm going to go support anything that Yvonne does. Very happy for her. So totally buying this. And I really hope that whoever is, I don't know who has the love interest, which I'm sure there is with Chris Pratt. I'm really crossing my fingers that they have great chemistry.
All right, next up here. This one, of course, YouTube is doing a big, massive shift in its strategy. Of course, just a year ago or so, YouTube was talking about having this. They're going to compete with Netflix. They're going to compete with Hulu. They're going to have their big online things. And of course, the most successful, maybe arguably the only really big successful one they had is, of course, Cobra Kai, a show that everybody on the planet Earth loved except me. Well, they've changed their philosophies now because it's it's now official. They are switching over. All their original series are going to be available for free. People who are part of the paid service will now get to watch it ad-free, and rather, YouTube is now saying they're going to be shifting their focus to doing more reality series kind of stuff featuring YouTube stars and various celebrities. So generally speaking now, you can watch Cobra Kai and a bunch of their other shows like High Water, Minefield, Foursome, and stuff like that for free, shows that probably nobody else has ever watched anyway. Erin, buy or sell YouTube's move to make their original shows available for free now?
I mean, sell. I have no interest in watching shows with YouTube stars. I don't watch YouTube stars on YouTube. I'm not going to...
You are a YouTube
You're a YouTube star.
Oh, shit. Oh! I forgot this is a YouTube show.
There we are. There we are.
I just...
Erin Cummings, ladies and gentlemen. She'll be here all
Okay, how do I dig? I guess I think of Logan Paul. That's what I think of. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like, am I gonna... I don't know. I put this in a different category. Am I learning? Like, when I watch this show, I learn about what's going on in the world of movies. It's not just somebody acting like an idiot for the sake of, I want to be famous for 15 minutes. I actually learn things. I learn things not only from the two of you and from Chris Carr, but also from the people who... write into the show. So that's what I mean. I apologize. Well, but that's what I mean.
I sell it. I think this is just another way of YouTube saying our gamble failed, and now we got to try to switch to something else. And maybe I would buy it if I actually liked the Cobra Kai show, which I don't, because I'm the only person on the planet that didn't. All right, last one up here. Sony is acquiring Insomniac Games. If that name sounds familiar, it's because it's the game company that actually made probably the most popular video game of the last little while, their Marvel Spider-Man game. This is just the latest company that Sony Digital Entertainment has purchased. Apparently, they're really growing this base of theirs to incorporate into the online entertainment and gaming worlds. This is, I believe, the 14th company they've purchased in the last little while. Anyway, Rob, buy or sell their purchase of Insomniac Games?
Buy it. I think it's really, really smart. I think what Sony is doing with their PlayStation platform is doing what Netflix and is doing. They're creating, well, actually what Disney has done. They're buying their best stable of creators to keep creating for them. So like Disney has Marvel and Pixar and Lucasfilm, that's what Sony has done. They've bought their best creators, kept them under their umbrella to keep making great games. I think it's really smart. I'm
going to buy this, and the reason I'm buying is because I think we're getting a glimpse at the long-term vision and strategy of Sony. They see Disney having this whole what's the word I'm looking for? Ecosphere, where they have their own IP, they develop their own IP, then they do television and movies with their own IP. I think this is a part of a long-term strategy to develop their own IP in-house, even if it's on the PlayStation platform, that they can then take advantage of and develop down the line. I think it's smart, so I'm going to give it a buy. Erin, buy or sell this?
I'm going to buy it. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think it's very smart and good for them.
All right, guys, that'll do it for this installment of Buy or Sell. We'll, of course, do this again tomorrow. Would you buy or sell any of those topics? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know what you guys think. All right, guys, with all that now wrapped up, we're going to head into the segment of the show where we take your guys' live questions. But before we get to that, we're going to take a short break here. Allow us to rest our voices for a second, refill the drink that it was already empty, but I almost dumped the rest of it on the floor. So we will be back in just a couple of minutes. Hang in tight there, guys. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, as we just took a little bit of a break there. Hey, listen, before we get to the live questions, there's a little bit of breaking news here, as a matter of fact. Let me see if I can get my hands on this. But apparently, breaking now, in the last couple of minutes, this has come out. The new James Bond movie now officially has a new title. The James Bond movie title is now officially as No Time to Die, and they've given a little piece of artwork with this. Look, you guys know my opinions of titles of movies. Ultimately, they don't mean anything. The title will not make the movie better, nor will it make it worse. That being said, it's always a good thing to have a good title, and I'll tell you what, I think this is a pretty damn good title. This is particularly a good title, I think, for a James Bond. This is a very James Bond feeling kind of title. No Time to Die, 007. Now, Rob, you are the in-house Bond fanatic here. I am most curious, obviously, and you and I haven't talked about this. This literally just came out.
Just happened.
What do you think about the title of No Time to Die?
Well, I am incredibly excited for this movie. I'm flying to London to see it at the Odeon Cinema in Leicester Square, like I did when Skyfall opened, just for fun. Just to see it with real British fans. I'm doing it this year. It's supposedly opening on April 3rd in England. It opens April 8th in the United States. I think No Time to Die is a great title. I'm very excited. I don't like the font they use in that artwork, but other than that, bring it on, man. This is the official 25th James Bond movie. I can't wait to see this movie. I cannot wait.
Erin, what do you think about the title?
Well, interestingly enough, I actually like the font. I think that the title is great. And I was looking at the font going, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder what the title of that font is. No, I think it's fantastic. It sounds like a Bond movie. And Robert, I'm so jealous and excited of this trip.
You're welcome to come. Everybody's invited.
Okay. Well, it's pilot season, so it's probably a no. However.
Long weekend, babe.
Okay.
You and your husband, long weekend.
Gosh.
Come on.
I'm kind of, yeah.
St. Martin's Lane Hotel, London's West End. It's going to be
Oh my gosh, this sounds like a real... John, are you an Annan?
No.
Let's get Chris Carr. Let's go. We might get a family trip.
But I'll tell you what, I'm with Erin on this. I like the font.
Yeah.
I look at the font. Now,
it's not terrible.
Would I use that font myself on a bunch of things? No, but I look at it and it feels like a classic Bond kind of typeface to me a little bit. So I'm digging it, whether it'll be the final thing or not. Hey, guys, what do you think about the new, number one, the title and the design of the titling of it? James Bond, No Time to Die, 007. Jump down in the comment section and let us know what you guys think. Okay, with that down, now let's move on to the live questions today. You guys have been sending in a whole ton of them, so let's get over to it and start taking them right now. We're going to start things off here with James Argenta, who writes, I think it's more likely that there will be a, where are we at here? Yeah, that there will be an episode 9 behind the scenes reel than a trailer D23 and get the Mandarin trailer. I think you probably meant the Mandalorian trailer. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of people who seem to think, because historically in the last couple of years, what they've done is, hey, in August, they've released like a behind the scenes, featurette of the new Star Wars movie. And then like the next month or so, they put out a new trailer. I actually believe they're going to break that mold and put out a trailer. Now, I mean, it's all semantics. Regardless, I think at D23, they're putting out a new video clip that is part of a promotional campaign. Whether you want to call that a trailer or featurette, whatever. But I actually still kind of think it will be a trailer they drop. I think it's a little bit different this year. But regardless, they're going to be releasing something that we can all be excited about. Suthius writes, hey guys, I got to say, damn Kelly and her useless non-virgin self. I enjoyed Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Todd and Doug are my favorites. I don't know if I've ever asked you guys this question. Have you guys ever seen Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon? God, I love this movie. It's okay, so for Erin's benefit here, it's a low-budget little indie film that imagines that the world where Jason, Freddy, Mike Myers were all real. And that's the world we live in. And this documentary crew finds this guy named Leslie Vernon who is in training to become the next great supernatural mass killer.
Okay.
And it is both a deconstruction of the horror genre and a comedy.
Oh,
and
okay.
it is so good. And then in the last act, about the last fifth of the movie suddenly changes gears from this, office-style comedy docuseries to being a legitimate 80s-style horror film. And it's just like encapsulating all the motifs they deconstruct in the first. It's so smart and yet so silly. Mm-hmm. It's so great. If you haven't, when's the last time you saw it, Robert? Because it's been out for what is it?
Yeah, I saw it when it first came out.
14 years or something now.
Yeah, I saw it when it first came out. I really liked it. I thought it was great.
One of my favorite movies of all time is a movie called Student Bodies, which Robert, you guys, okay.
That's some old school.
That's like late 70s. And so you combine classic Hollywood tropes with humor, and I'm in. That's the kind of horror movie that I want to see. So I will definitely watch this. Thank you so much for the recommendation.
The Rise of Leslie Vernon, the Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. I've always wanted them to do a sequel. Anyway, Draco Aris writes, an excerpt from Dragon Champion, Book 1 of The Age of Fire. The hatchling tasted his first air, cool and dry compared to the dampness inside the egg. Its strangeness set him a quiver. Ooh. Great book. Sounds like a pathetic ripoff of a much superior book called The Pride, which sounds like a vastly superior dragon novel. I'm just kidding, of course. I've never actually heard of Dragon Champion. Rob, you're the resident...
fantasy series, not that I don't begrudge anyone who loves them. There's so many, and I can't keep up. I can't.
Yeah, I remember there was a long time I would go to my chapters. For those of you who are not living in Canada, that was the big giant book chain in Canada, our version of Barnes & Noble and whatnot. I would go to the chapters and get new fantasy books, but they just started to explode, and I kind of gave up on them at some point. TJ Thomas writes, went to a screening of Ready or Not last night. That movie was better than it had any right being. I am telling you what, I will double check this right now. I'm going to go tonight if you want to go.
Does it open tonight?
It's available. It's playing at the MC16
I can't go tonight.
Come on. What could you possibly be doing?
What time are you going?
Tomorrow we're doing
I might go as early as 6. There's a 6 p.m. screening. You want to go?
It opens
I'll buy you your
today?
ticket. Yeah. Opens
on a Tuesday?
It officially opens Wednesday, but it's got screenings tonight. So
I am dying to see this
Let me
movie.
just hold a second here.
I have spin class at 6:30, and I'm going to Hawaii next week, so I can't miss
that.
that.
I can't go tonight.
Because I'm going to go. I'm going to go see this tonight. So the last I checked, this little movie, which by the way, every time I see a trailer for it, I got to remind myself it's not Margot Robbie in it, because that girl, the lead girl in it, but it looks like this fun little horror thing. I don't know why it just took
the
me
reviews
to
are through the roof. The reviews for this movie are phenomenal.
The last I checked,
who is the person?
I'm not sure. I don't know who the girl is, but the last I checked, it had a 100%. It's now sitting
100%.
It's now sitting at 94. So Ready or Not is sitting at 94%. This movie.
Oh, it's Samara Weaving.
I don't know who that is. To be
my
honest with you.
my manager represents her. Yeah. I've seen. Yeah, she's great.
This movie looks awesome. I remember when the first trailer started playing for it. I remember thinking, well, this just looks like it's going to be a dumb little thing. And by the end of the trailer, I'm like, I have to see this movie.
And the reviews have been phenomenal.
The reviews have been great. So I'm glad you had a chance to see it last night, TJ. And I'm looking forward to see. I'm definitely going to go.
By the way, this is also a hunting humans movie.
Why wasn't this dropped from theater?
And they didn't get scared.
Maybe it's because it's a girl and she's not that scary.
But so is The Hunt.
Well, I mean, this is a little bit of a different. There's a supernatural angle to this, I think. But anyway, I am excited about this. I can't wait to see this. Dim Sum writes, Michael Rocker. Yep, there you go. It's. I'm very excited to see this dude. I always like seeing him on screen. Willow Yang writes, thanks to you, I wasted a few hours yesterday looking up milk and cheese comics when I should be working. Who came up with an idea like this? It is one of the craziest comic strips you will ever read. Erin, have you ever heard of Milk and Cheese?
No.
I introduced a whole bunch of people to the idea of it yesterday, but Rob has read it. Just so you know, okay, so Milk and Cheese, the full title of it is Milk and Cheese Dairy Gone Bad. Yeah.
Please tell me that milk and cheese are the two main characters.
They are. It's this little carton of milk and this little block of cheese. And they run around unleashing unspeakable violence on people. Yes. And their big catchphrase is, we are milk and cheese, we do as we please.
Yeah,
and they walk around like beating people with baseball bats for not watching the right, or saying something disparaging about Maury Povich, and they pull out baseball bats, see the teeth flying out of their mouths.
I feel like I don't even know them, and I want to get them tattooed on my body somewhere.
It's So funny. So Willow, good on you for following up on that, because Milk and Cheese is so damn funny. It's not for everybody, but it's so damn funny. Okay, Ron G writes, I'm trying to get into Star Trek The Next Generation for the first time, and I'm having trouble. Any advice on how long I should stick with it before deciding it isn't for me? I really want to like it. I would say this. I love The Next Generation. What I would say is it's not until you're getting into the later parts of season 1 and really into the beginning of season 2 that I found that the series really found its identity. Because when you watch almost any season of The Next Generation, Rob, and maybe you'll agree or disagree with me on this, but when you watch almost any season of Next Generation, you can clearly tell this is a show that has a firm grasp on its identity and what it is. But when you watch, particularly the early parts of season 1, it almost feels a little bit out of place with the rest of the series. So I would say get through season 1, get well into season 2, and if by the end of season 2, which is a lot of episodes, but if by the end of the season 2 it's not working for you, then I'd say ditch. But I think you will be on board by the end of season 2.
Go ahead, Robert.
You first.
Well, I was going to say, I also highly recommend watching Star Trek Enterprise. There's a Carpenter Street episode that has a young woman at the very beginning, prostitute number 1. You're not going to want to miss that.
That's the first clip I ever saw of you. Oh yeah, she's.
That's my very first television appearance.
Star
Trek Enterprise, the Carpenter Street episode, prostitute number 1.
It's a great episode. By the way.
You even had lines. You had lines.
I do. You're looking for a date, honey? And Leland Orser goes, maybe with your friend. And I go, you don't know what you're missing. And I'm telling you, I was on the treadmill.
That's the first line you ever said to me. So
you're looking for a date, honey? I saw Leland at the gym, and I had to stop him. I was on the treadmill, and I go, 15 years ago, I said my very first television line to you. And he was like, oh, cool. So please.
Wait, can I answer this question, though?
Yeah.
Because this is important. The third season of Next Generation is where the series really came into its own. So watch the third season. If you're not digging season 1 or 2, jump right in. You know enough already. Go to the third season and watch it to the end.
Take Robert's advice. Okay. Good on you for asking, though, Ron. All right. Harry Mudd writes, hello, Erin and Rob. Nice to see you both.
Hello.
And it is always nice to see you.
Hardcore Fenton Mudd, have you been drinking again?
Speaking of Star Trek, Harry Mudd also then writes, Better Than Us is a fairly good Russian sci-fi show on Netflix. If you're into cyberpunk, you may want to check it out. Really shocking. A Netflix show that I've never heard of.
By the way, did you hear what they're doing?
I did. So Rob sent me
marketing?
Well, yeah, they're actually doing something about it. Rob actually sent me this link, and I got it just before we started the show, where apparently we just talked about this.
Yes, we did.
We just the other day said...
They must watch our show, John.
They must.
Clearly.
We said they've got to put a bar at the top of their interface that says, here's what's new. This is our stuff, that's new. And so explain what it was, that new story.
Well, I just read the story like you. They're doing that. They're doing a new release, like what's coming up now and what's coming up like within the next 2 weeks. And they're going to showcase their shows, everything new that's dropping. They're going to have trailers and I guess information. And it's going to be a special thing that you'll get to see. Like, I can't believe it's taken this long.
Oh, it's about damn time.
I mean, we've been talking about it for over a year now. When is Netflix going to do something like this? And finally, I did not know there was a Russian cyberpunk show on Netflix.
No clue.
I would watch that immediately.
Well, it kind of makes me wonder, some of the shows that Netflix has canceled because of lack of enthusiasm, would they have been shows that could have found their audience with a little bit of marketing behind them?
And then would they have, even if they did become a hit, would they let it last beyond season 3 anyway? So that's, Netflix has got a lot of issues they got to work out over the next little while. Like
their debt being the first and foremost.
Their debt being first. They've just had the whole playground to themselves for a long time. It's going to be interesting to see how they adapt to an actual crowded competitive field with Disney, HBO Max, Apple Plus, all this kind of stuff coming. It's going to be interesting to see how they adapt now that they're not the only kid on the playground. All right, next up. Where is there we go. Kevin Lewis writes, over under 60% Robert Meyer Burnett has a DVD / Blu-ray of Vanishing Point 1971. Okay,
Blu-ray.
This one, I think this is easy. I will take over 60% on that. With Vanishing Point he's got to have. Aaron, do you think
over 60, and he definitely has it on Blu-ray.
Rob?
I do.
Yeah, the Vanishing Point, no.
You got to have Vanishing Point's great.
Yeah, you got to have Vanishing Point.
Vanishing Point, Vanishing Point and Two-Lane Blacktop, I also have on Blu-ray. You kind of watch those at the same time. Or Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry.
Okay, let's move on here. Harry Mudd writes,
Dirty Larry Crazy Mary? Dirty Mary Crazy Larry.
I bet he has the remake of Vanishing Point as well. I'm going to guess no. I don't think he would, Rob.
I do not.
Ah,
I do not. I have the original.
I knew that. All right, Suthius writes, Wandering Earth was okay, cool concept, great VFX. Remember, that was when you were dying to see, Robert, and you weren't overly thrilled with it.
You know what? Anytime anyone's going to build giant engines on the Earth to move the Earth to Jupiter and swing around as a gravity assist and go to Alpha Centauri, I'm in. But believe it or not, it was, I think, the romantic, melodramatic aspects of the Wandering Earth that got in the way of the pure hard sci-fi story. No, it was pretty ludicrous. I mean, it was watching a movie that they didn't just put everything in the kitchen sink, everything but the kitchen sink in. They put everybody's kitchen sink. I mean, everything was in this movie. I loved watching it. It's not great, but it's on Netflix. I saw it on a giant screen in IMAX, and I'm like, wow. I don't know if I would recommend it to anyone, though.
Yeah, I remember you were kind of because you were so excited for it.
I was really excited for it.
You were so excited for it.
Because it was like, there's an old Japanese movie called Gorath, where they have giant engines to move the Earth back into the proper orbit. And as a kid, I'm like, yeah, let's build engines on the Earth, and we can take the Earth anywhere we want to go. Like, that was something that seemed neat to me.
I bet if it was Fast 15, it could work.
Which they
well,
do.
It could work if it was in the Fast franchise.
That's how you get the Fast franchise into space. You make the American version of Wandering Earth, where they drag race planets.
All right, we got to move on here. Ryan Lohner writes, I hereby volunteer to play the Fast and Furious hero who gets beaten up, since apparently they're in no position to turn that down. I don't know what you're...
Are they dissing on our favorite actor?
Vin? Maybe.
No. Michael Rooker. Was that a Michael Rooker reference? Is he not like Michael Rooker?
Well, Rooker's probably going to be a villain. I don't know. Sorry, Ryan. Not sure what you're getting at. All right, Kevin Lewis writes, over under 50%. Robert Meyer Burnett has a DVD of The Great Race 65. You know what? I'm going to go under on that. I bet he doesn't have that. Rob?
I don't.
I've
got Grand Prix though and Le Mans, but I don't have.
All right. Next up, Anthony Cullen writes, Thanos, I'm the MCU's best villain. Brad, hold my beer. I have no idea what we're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. Alton J writes, how can movies have the same name without violating copyright? Example, Gladiator, Serenity, Heat. I think, look, I can't answer that specifically, but I think a large chunk of it has to do, you cannot copyright a common word. Like, you can't copyright the word serenity. That's a word in the English language. You can't just do that. Gladiator, single thing. Like, what you probably can't do is if, for instance, Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I can't tomorrow then go out and make a movie called that exact same title. That there's no getting around that. That's copyright violation. I remember recently, I think it was Forrest Whitaker movie, The Butler, had almost this exact same thing where they had a title, but it was too similar to an older film's title because it was a multi-word title. So I think they then just reverted to Butler. It might have been the other way around. Lee Daniels, the Butler. So they had to change it to work around it. But I think when it's just single word or single common phrase name, I think you have a hard time being able to put copyright on that. Like Star Wars, that's not a common thing.
The biggest thing is, would it create confusion in the mind of the consumer?
Right.
Like if I had a product and I called it Play-Doh, for example, people would think that that's the product Play-Doh. Yeah, so...
well, Erin, you're right. There's actually a process you go through in Hollywood where your movie is titled, and I don't know if it's an MPAA thing, but other studios have the opportunity to lobby against your title. Like they'll say, my own film that I made was originally called Trekkers, and we renamed it to Free Enterprise. Paramount objected because they had a movie coming out called Trekkies. So we relented and came up with a new title, but there's a process that we had to go through, and then a studio can protest your title. And then if they do, you can appeal it.
Go ahead, Erin.
And then on the flip side of that, you also, if it's not a word, like for example with Meet the Fockers, in order for them to actually be able to use that as the title, because it sounded so much like Meet the Fuckers, they had to go and find a real family that existed with Fokker as their last name in order to legitimize that being used as the title of their movie.
one of the things you have to go through when doing something like this is a little bit similar to when you're buying a house. So the very first job I had in law, I was working as a clerk in a real estate law firm. And one of the things we always had to do when somebody was going to buy a house, when we had a client that was looking at buying a house, one of the very first things I had to do, this was my main job, was searching the title of the house. That meant going into the history of the house, making sure that nobody still has any ownership rights, making sure nobody has any claims on the house and might have like a renovation company that did work and somebody never paid the bill and they put a lien on the house, and make sure everything is free and clear with our client to buy this house. And once they buy it, it's all theirs. You actually have to get a lawyer to actually do a little bit of a title search when you're doing your project, not just for the title itself, but also to make sure that, to get a legal, a legal opinion letter that just basically says, like, we don't think this violates, even the story itself violates any copyright on any other pre-existing IP, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of answers to that. We don't have time to go into it for an hour or so, but it can be a big thing. But single word, common used words, it becomes a little bit more tricky. Star Killer writes, I would think a series on Vader right after his turn to evil, killing of Jedi between episodes 3 and 4, would be better than Mandalorian in my opinion. I disagree. I find nothing interesting about that. We know what happens. There's really nothing to do there. I love the Vader character, but at the same time, it's impossible to say, I think a movie about this would be better than a movie about that. That's impossible to say. It's all about how you put it together. I would have said before, a movie with Loki as a villain. Remember, before Thor in the MCU, Loki was like a C-level villain at best. A movie with Loki as a villain won't be nearly as good as a movie with Doctor Doom as the villain. Come on, right? Well, yes, it was. So it really all depends, but honestly, I'd be more interested in The Mandalorian. Benny95 writes, finished Mindhunter Season 2, and wow, it's amazing. Not as good as Season 1, but the wait for Season 3 will be exhausting, granted that it isn't canceled. I finally got around to watching Episode 1.
Episode 1 or Season 1?
Episode 1 of Season 2.
Oh, okay.
Because I loved Season 1. Loved Season 1, even though it wasn't about a telekinetic crime fighter, which is what I really did think Mindhunter was going to be when I started watching it, because I knew nothing about the show. I just assumed it was about a guy with telekinesis who fought crime. Apparently that's not it.
It's not?
And it's not. But Season 2, Episode 1 was a great way to pick up the story. Episode 1 was a great pickup of where they left off. So I now, Rob, you've seen the whole season, right?
I did.
And you enjoyed it a lot.
I loved it. I mean, I can't tell you how, I have a predilection for serial killer stories of any kind, but seeing the birth of the behavioral sciences unit for the FBI it's right up my alley. I love it so much. And the acting in this second season, every single person is so good. The guy who plays Manson was the guy who played Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
I saw
only
that
for a
last
moment. But that dude, that scene, I think it's episode 4 or 5 when Manson's, oh my God, he was good. All the acting is so amazing in that show.
Well, I can't wait to get into episode 2 sometime next week when I actually have time. All right, next up, Kevin Lewis writes, over under 30%, the Robert Meyer Burnett has a DVD, The Hot Rocks, 1972 Robert Redford. You know what? 30% is a low number. I'm going to take the over on that. Rob, do you own the Hot Rock?
I don't.
Oh, I
do
missed
not.
one today.
Sorry, I don't. These are
I've never seen it. I've never seen it myself.
I don't own that. I do own the Dennis Hopper directed The Hot Spot, however, with Don Johnson, a young Jennifer Connelly, who has the most breathtaking scene. Well, you know what? Just watch The Hot Spot.
Do you also have the porn parody, The Hot Box?
I do not. Yeah, I don't.
At least not on Blu-ray. All right.
Although I'll watch it.
James L.H. writes, hey, John, I know physical media is dying, but I still love box sets, speaking of hot boxes, and I have more than just... I still have box sets that have more than just the disc. Example, the just pre-ordered American Werewolf in London includes poster, etc., and the classic High Noon. See, one of the cool things about the physical media stuff is you get the opportunity to get that bonus kind of thing. I remember that was one of the reasons I was still held on when I was a kid. I used to like getting albums because I used to love it when you could buy a record, like a physical record, and like the sleeve inside have artwork, and box sets and stuff like that is all a big thing. And again, look, I gave up on physical media years ago, years and years and years ago. But there are certainly advantages to getting the physical stuff, and that's definitely one of them. Rob, as somebody who buys a lot of discs and a lot of physical media, do you find yourself buying like box sets and collections?
Yeah, I mean,
I
absolutely, and I've already pre-ordered that new American Werewolf set. It looks great. I was actually going to tell you about that. There's companies now that, like, whether it's Criterion, whether it's Arrow, especially, that do a lot of really cool stuff when they put inserts in, and they have reversible sleeves so you can change the artwork on the cover of the disc if you want. And I love all that stuff, but I just don't think physical media is going to be around very much longer.
Erin, do you and Tom buy a lot of discs? And when you do you find yourself just buying individual movies? Do you like to buy box sets? How do you like to buy them?
I am purging as much of our. I literally every day I walk around my house and I just want to throw away everything I own. I just want to purge everything. I finally got him to downsize from his massive DVD collection to just the discs in one of those big old CD books. I will hold on to some of, like we've talked about before, some of the more obscure films, like I have a Hong Kong version of All About Eve.
Criterion's putting it out.
Oh, really?
In November.
Okay, well, like, perfect example,
Blue.
I needed to see the old Bogey and Bacall film Key Largo last week, and I had to search feverishly because it wasn't available anywhere. I finally found it. But so we don't have a huge collection, but I do think that there's always going to be the market for the super fan of something that wants to get that special collector's edition. I like the idea that there's going to be specialty companies that work on those kinds of projects, and they go, okay, for the hardcore, like if there's a Grease re-release, I'm buying that and whatever comes with it. I mean, that's my kind of jam. So.
Nicky from Kanicki's like a Hallmark card.
All right.
When you care enough to
Only care enough
send
to the very best.
Harry Mudd writes, physical media will be around for a while. Oh, yeah, it'll still be around for a little while. I mean, at its rapid rate of decline, not a long time, but absolutely, physical media will still be around for... Hell, you can still buy record players. So it will
I have one.
Anne's got one, too.
Yeah, I buy records all the time.
James Welsh writes, you say Last Christmas looks bad, but do you have faith in Paul Feig, considering his track record minus Ghostbusters is pretty good? No, you're right. It is pretty good. His movie last year, I don't know if you saw it, Erin, but his movie last year, A Simple Favor, with Ryan Reynolds' wife, Blake Lively, Anna
Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick. I keep freezing on Anna Kendrick, so I'm not sure.
You know,
bloody awesome movie. Bloody
Really?
awesome movie. Oh my God, it's so good. I was so surprised from it. I didn't really have much intention. Ann and I went to go see one movie, realized it wasn't playing, so we decided, well, let's go see this one anyway, because I really like Anna Kendrick and I really like Blake Lively. And we're like, okay, and it had the guy from Crazy Rich Asians, so it had
Henry Golding?
It had Henry Golding in it.
Oh.
So we're like, okay, let's give it a shot. Brilliant film.
Okay.
Brilliant film. It's a movie that like every 15 or 20 minutes changes genres. Like I know it's so hard to explain, but the performances are great. The story is great.
This is called Last Christmas?
No. This
Last
is called
year.
The movie that's coming out right now with Henry Golding and Mother of Dragons.
Daenerys
Emilia
Targaryen.
Clarke.
I mean,
Emilia
yes.
Clarke.
Clarke.
That one's coming out, directed by Paul Feig. But the one Paul Feig did last year is called A Simple Favor.
By the way,
got it.
So good.
a friend of mine, somebody on, maybe it was on this show, The Theory About Last Christmas. Was it on the show? Somebody?
It might have been Chris who had the theory. What
Oh,
was
yeah,
it
people
again?
were saying that it
Henry
didn't look...
Golding is not really there. That if you look in the trailer, he's wearing the same clothes in every scene.
So
that he's
theory
like
that
the
he might be an
Christmas.
angel.
Yeah,
He might
he's
be-
an
yeah.
angel. And because
Excuse
she's
me?
almost dead, was that your idea?
No, and what? Is the sled called Rosebud? Why are we doing spoilers already?
Well, no. It's
This is
just
a theory.
theories. These are theories, people, because when
Yeah.
you look in the trailer,
I have no
like
idea.
he seems like a perfect guy, and like somebody was pointing out that in every scene he's wearing the same outfit. So there's a theory going around that it's not in the.
And she almost died.
Yes,
She
earlier.
almost died, and that you find out that she suffered. She almost died in the
Earlier
film.
in her life,
So maybe
yeah.
it's like a current. It's Jacob's Ladder, but for Christmas
Yeah,
movies.
I still don't think it looks any good. But you raise a really good point, James, that if there's anything that's going to give me some hope in this, it's the fact that Paul Feig is directing it. Because you're right, other than that Ghostbusters movie, he's got a really good track record.
A Simple Favor.
A Simple Favor, yeah. God, I love that movie. Anyway.
I love Blake Lively.
And the fact that Emilia Clarke's mother is being played by, is it Emma Thompson?
Yeah.
Playing,
Oh, she's
Emma
great in
who
anything.
is great, and I like her. Those are the things that give me some hope for it. But I'm just saying the trailer looks awful, though. That's the only problem. The
Are
trailer.
you
looks
watching
terrible.
Years and Years, by the way?
No.
Genius.
Oh
Rob was
my
talk-
God!
Have you got to episode 4 yet?
That's
Which one
Emma
is?
Thompson,
Wait,
right? That's
Episode
yes,
her show.
I'm watching it right now. Oh my gosh!
It's
So
by the way,
good.
Rob was raving
everything
about
in
it.
that
So good.
show is coming true now.
I know
Like, they
that's
made
what's
a
so
crack
crazy.
about bananas. You can't get bananas anymore. And then I read this article about banana fungus might kill all the bananas.
I know
Years and years.
it's like giving me such anxiety watching it, but it's like a train wreck. I can't stop.
It's so good.
All right, next one up. Harry Mudd writes, any one of you seen Nailed It? Love that cooking contest where amateurs try to replicate complicated cake. I have not seen it, but I'll tell you what, Ann and I are like one of those people where we really like cooking shows. I don't know why I get a
Totally.
kick out of them. And we have not seen Nailed It, but the whole idea of it sounds amazing.
It's like Pinterest fails.
I would, yes.
Oh my God, I will watch that.
Is that
for
a
sure.
show?
It's not a show, but you can just go just Google
Search-
Pinterest
yeah,
fails.
just search for
It
Pinterest
is
fails.
you'll go down a well for hours.
Wow.
I would be awesome
I wish
on
you
that
never
show.
said that.
Nailed It. I would be awesome on that show because I would be such a disaster. I would be such a disaster. I just love the concept, but I haven't seen it yet. All right, just a couple more here before we got to let these guys go. James Welsh writes, what directors would you say have the worst track record? I say Jason Frenberg and Aaron Seltzer. Okay, so these are the guys. I wouldn't even call them directors because they've only ever done one kind of movie, and they're the guys who did Meet the Spartans and all these things that absolutely desecrated and ruined the spoof genre, a genre that I used to love, and these guys just ruined it. But I wouldn't even count them as directors because they've never done any like real movie per se. I don't know. I mean, obviously you got to talk about Uwe Boll.
Yeah.
I mean, Uwe Boll has made some spectacularly bad films. Yeah, other than that, I don't have a lot off the top. Do either of you guys have a name you'd pull off the top of your head? Like a consistently bad director?
Because I don't
I
watch
feel like
bad
if you're,
movies.
but also I feel like if you're a consistently bad director, you just don't get that many opportunities.
Or at least you shouldn't.
In theory.
In theory, yeah. So you don't last long in this business there. But Uwe Boll, who finances his own movies, that's one that got. But look, I've told this story before. I had an opportunity. I went at a Toronto Film Festival. I went to go and meet with Uwe Boll at his hotel, and we sat down for about a half hour to an hour. And I got to tell you, I supremely enjoyed my conversation with him. I really, really did. It doesn't take away from how good or bad
he
his
was a
movies are.
doctor. He's like a doctor in real
Really?
life.
So him and Ken Jeong were like
Yeah.
doctors, and they moved into the movie business.
I mean, the other one I would say would be Tommy Wiseau, but I feel like that's so.
But yeah,
Like it's like kicking somebody when they're already down.
Okay, let's see. Jonathan Teft writes, one of two. With all the rumors of Deadpool 3 possibly being PG-13, all I want to know is how Ryan Reynolds feels about it. He worked very hard to make it. What is it to make it what it is today? Does he have any say on it? And do you think he may even leave the movie if it isn't rated R? That's a really good question. To answer the part of does he have any say in it? No, he does. He has no ownership over the character of Deadpool. So he doesn't get a vote. I'm sure they would listen to him to consider what he has to say, but at the end of the day, he doesn't get a vote. I mean, it's Bob Iger will make that decision. I think if they do put Deadpool in the MCU, which I think is mistake number one, and that they make it PG-13, which they will do if they put it in the MCU, which is mistake number two, I think Ryan Reynolds will stay with it. I really do. I think he will stay with it because he is just such a charismatically entertaining dude. He will find a way to make it work as well as it can work in the PG-13 realm. I've said this before, I will say it again. I was totally fine with them making a PG-13 Deadpool before the first Deadpool movie came out because we lived in a world where there was no R-rated Deadpool. Right? Even the comic books, you can make an argument are PG-13 to much of an extent. So when we lived in a world where there was no R-rated Deadpool, I was totally okay with them doing PG-13 Deadpool. I would have preferred R, but I was okay with PG-13. The difference is, and I've said this before, is that we live in a world now where we've had two massive, like culturally shaking Deadpool hits. I believe that They're the number one box office R-rated film of all time. And I think the number 2 or number 3 box office film of all time. Massive, like $1.5 billion in combined box office. We live in a world now where when people think of Deadpool, they think of the R-rated Deadpool. And I'm just not so sure that you can now change that gear to a PG-13. Bottom line is, even if they do, which would make the third mistake, I think Ryan Reynolds will stick with it. I think he loves it, and I think he'll do everything he can to try to make it work. Erin, if they do go PG-13 on Deadpool, do you think Ryan Reynolds will stay?
I think Ryan Reynolds will 100% stay with the Deadpool franchise because he's so intrinsically tied to it. It's clearly taken his career and skyrocketed it, and I think that he has a certain degree of loyalty to that. He's a good Canadian boy, so that's going to mean something. And I also think that even though he doesn't have control necessarily over the film itself, he's going to have enough input where he's definitely going to. I think he'll stay with it. Yes,
Rob.
I think he absolutely will. And you know what? If it's a mandate that it has to be PG-13, I would see Ryan Reynolds thinking that's a creative challenge, and that he would come on and he's like, okay, I'm going to get to do a third one of these movies because he's a really, really funny guy.
He's so funny.
He's so funny. Every time you see him live, I mean, the stuff that he can just toss off the top of his head, his commercials for his gin, Aviator Gin. I mean,
some of the best things
all
ever.
of the things he's done. And I don't think Ryan Reynolds would shy away from the fact that he has to make a PG-13 Deadpool. I think he would embrace that challenge. I think he would. What does he have to lose? And I think it would be probably pretty damn good.
And he's a dad now, so he's probably also, as we see a lot of actors say, that's the reason why Angelina Jolie did Maleficent. She wanted to do a movie that her kids could go and see. And I think even though Ryan Reynolds' kids are not yet 13, I think that he probably also is looking at introducing himself to a younger demographic as well.
By the way, have you ever seen Ryan Reynolds tweet about his kids? He's savage. He just destroys his kids. He is the best. Speaking of how naturally funny he is, have either of you guys, you can get easily caught into a YouTube rabbit hole with this, but there's a BBC show where they will bring in like actors from different movies and they have them play this game where they have to take turns insulting each other, coming up with insults to each other,
yeah.
and try to make the other laugh. Did you see the one with Ryan Reynolds and James Brolin?
Yep.
Oh my God,
it
was so funny. Ryan Reynolds is just so naturally freaking funny. And again, good Canadian kid, so of course he is. Anyway, guys, I
want to take the next question.
You want to take the next question? Okay, let's see if I can find the next question here. Hold on a second. What's the next question?
I love how you are so emphatic about that.
Oh, I see. KW Garrett. All right, I see. I watched The Anniversary. Brilliant masterpiece of a film, by the way. Credits had a PowerPoint wave effect. No, it was After Effects, as a matter of fact. But plus, I didn't like switching from one camera shot to the other for dialogue, but overall not bad. Okay, so what KW...
First of all, KW Garrett, nobody gives a shit what your opinion is of The Anniversary. How many films have you directed, huh? Okay, and I get it, that this is a show where we come on here and sometimes we say good things and bad things about other people's projects, but guess what? Nobody's going and knocking on their door and saying, hey, guess what? I don't like the creative thing that you did.
Remember,
if somebody, hold on, I'm defending you. No. You don't come and knock on my friend John Campea's door and say, I didn't like this about the movie. You don't get to do that, okay? If you want to start your own YouTube show that gets almost 200,000 worldwide fans, then you can go ahead and you can shit on whoever you want. But you don't get to come into this house and talk to my friend about his movie. He worked his ass off on that movie. I know that because I was in the movie. I was there. And if you've never been on a set, which clearly you haven't, or you would have some level of decorum and respect for a director, then to come to them and say what you didn't like about their movie, you would know that a person who is a director during their first film has worked their ass off to cultivate a cast, a crew, a budget, and they're not only having to manage the egos and the drama and all the personalities of all the different actors and the crew, but they're also having to manage the technical aspects of it as well. So have some fucking respect, and don't you ever come here and talk about my friend John's movie unless you have nothing but glowing things to say ever, or I will come and hunt you down, KW Garrett.
I should let you know. KW is one of our best viewers and who's one of our most active commenters and is always having a lot of fun on the channel. He's one of our supporters, and he's one of the Patreon supporters, and he's one of my favorite viewers that we have on the show. So that said,
Well, thank you for your support, KW.
Clearly,
John, you might have wanted to mention that before I said all those things.
I tried.
By the
You
way,
can
that-
mute. I see your Rodecaster Pro right there. You can mute my mic in time, but I stand by what I said. Don't come into this house and talk bad about my friend.
Wait, we got to give it up for that rant. That was one of the greatest YouTube rants I have ever
By the way,
seen.
I just want to point
Bravo.
out. Look at the things he was criticizing. The credit font and camera shots. He said overall not bad. So like you said, so clearly I think the comment made it pretty clear he was being a little bit facetious. If the biggest things to criticize about my movie, which they are not, if the biggest things to criticize about my movie were the motion graphics I put on the opening credit text and camera cuts between dialogue, if that was the biggest thing to criticize about my movie, I've got a future in this business if that's the worst thing about my movie.
I agree, and I'm ready for the anniversary part 2.
Right, but to be clear, those are not the worst things about my movie. There are plenty of worse things about my movie.
Can you come over to my house and defend my movie when people rip on me on my YouTube show?
100% I will.
Because that was awesome.
I can't speak up for myself, but gosh darn it, don't you dare say anything even remotely bad, even if it's about a font, about my friends.
Well, I mean,
and KW, please continue supporting the John Campea Show. We love you.
And just to be clear here, look, when you put out a movie or any piece of creative work and you put it out for people to look at and watch, you're asking for criticism, right?
I agree. At the same time, this is my thing. If someone wants to say Erin Cummings is a shit actress, I hate her, her forehead's too big, whatever, you can say that on your page. You can say that all you want. But when you actively go to my page and you actively come and seek me out to go, hey, I don't like you, I think that's just a shitty thing. Like, this is a show where we dissect film and television and we say what we like and we don't like, but we're not tagging the people we're talking about. So someone would have to actively come and look for this show and go, oh wow, they clearly didn't like it. There's the same reason why I don't read reviews about the things that I'm in. It's not my business what other people think about me. What people think about me is not my business, so I don't actively seek it out. So when someone comes to my house just for the specific purpose of saying, I don't like what you did, I'm like, fuck you, dude. I don't go to your workplace and slap the dick out of your mouth. I stole that from a movie. I wish I could take credit for it.
Wow. By the way, I think you have a great forehead, just for the record.
Thank you.
Just want to put that out there. Anyway, listen, guys, we are wrapped up for now with Robert and Erin.
You can't get us out of here fast enough.
Like, moving on. Patreon supporters that we got to answer questions for.
All right, Robert, first of all, and by the way, speaking of your movie, people really should go out and check out your little start that you directed. Not everybody knows you directed William Shatner.
I
Yeah,
did.
you
Yes,
did.
I did.
In a film. But anyway, where can people find you online?
Oh, well, you can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work.
And of course, Erin, where can people find you? And give us once again the release date for All Rise.
I will. People can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Erin L. Cummings. Also on Facebook, Erin Cummings something. I don't usually check it anyway. You can also listen to me rant about all kinds of fun stuff, including vaginas, on my podcast, Kappa Kappa Cancer, wherever you listen to podcasts. And All Rise will be premiering on Monday, September 23rd at 9 p.m. on CBS. So make sure to set your TiVo. Do people still have TiVos?
I don't know. Is that even still really a thing?
Probably
I
not.
don't know.
But you know what? Go ahead and just search for it anyway, and find me on Instagram. Lots more there.
All right, guys, we will see both of you Rob, I'll see you tomorrow. Erin, we'll see you on Thursday. All right, with that down, let's now keep on going. We still got about another 20 minutes here to keep answering questions, so let's keep on things rolling here. And we're going to move on here now with Harry Mudd, who writes, watched Evolution yesterday. Still great fun. That's the one with David Duchovny, I think, and Orlando Jones. I remember having a kick out. I got a kick out of that one. It's been a long time. It was also the Dude Where's My Car guy, something Scott. No, not Ashton Kutcher. The other one. There's something Scott. I can't remember. Sean William Scott, that's the one who it is in that one. Yeah, that one wasn't bad. Jonathan Teft writes, one of two. I've never seen the Rambo movies, so I'm watching all of them to prepare for Last Blood. Watched First Blood and was pleasantly surprised. I always thought it was just another cool 80s action film. I was surprised by the focus on vets dealing with PTSD and being neglected. Made everything have more weight to it. The action was pretty incredible too. I can't wait to watch the rest of the series. Here's the thing, and this is the Rambo series is it's really weird because it really changes gears. Like the Rambo movies that came after First Blood are actually very different movies from First Blood, because First Blood was not really, like when you think Rambo movies, you think of these 80s style action films. First Blood, while definitely having action in it, it was so much more of a character study. And it really was a story about a man trying to come home and finding it wasn't really familiar to him anymore. I mean, as you point out, Jonathan, the PTSD stuff, all that kind of stuff, it's such a good movie. Like, and I'm not just talking fun movie like a lot of the Rambo movies. It's just a good movie. And it's unique amongst the Rambo films. And it feels like, to me, one of the reasons I'm excited about Last Blood is because it feels to me like they're trying a little bit to get back a little bit of that flavor. So I'm excited about Last Blood because it feels a bit like he's developing an amalgamation of the action, explosion, visceral violence of what we've come to expect from a Rambo film, while also getting back and becoming more of a character film like the original First Blood was. And that's one of the reasons I'm excited about it. So having not watched the other Rambo movies, I can tell you that the other Rambo movies you're about to start watching are materially different from that first Rambo movie. They're materially different from First Blood, but they become enjoyable on their own thing. They almost have their own identity. So watch through them. I'd be curious to know what you think about those other ones, but that's one of the reasons why I'm so looking forward to Last Blood. All right. Jonathan writes, oh my gosh, Blinded by the Light was incredible. This is the feel-good movie of the year. Yeah, that's one of the 5 movies that came out this week that I didn't have a chance to get out to see yet. I remember watching a big presentation they did for it at CinemaCon last year. They brought the cast out and the filmmakers and all that kind of stuff, talk about it. It just looks really good, and I'm excited about watching it myself. Harry Mudd writes, Jonathan Teft, I love First Blood just for that reason. I agree. I really did. It was just such a deeper movie than you traditionally think of a Rambo film. And for those of you who haven't seen the original First Blood, seriously, if you're turned off by the idea of just a brainless action shoot-'em-up movie, First Blood is different. I mean, you really should go back and check it out because this really is quite good. Patrick Conway writes, can Marvel make a Hulk Disney Plus series without the issue? I don't believe so. I believe anything they make that is Hulk, the distribution comes down to Universal at this point. To be frank with you too, Patrick, I'm not interested in a Hulk standalone anymore. I don't. Now, this is just me. Other people may like it, and that's great. I'm not crapping all over. I'm just saying, for me, what they did with Hulk kind of took away my interest in the character. And I'm just speaking for myself. What they did with the Hulk in the final 2, in Infinity War, which I love, and Endgame, which I really, really like, but what they did with Hulk was really not interesting to me and kind of took away the core essence of Hulk. And I'll be frank. So not only do I think they can't do it, I quite honestly wouldn't be interested in it anymore. But that's just me. All right. Evelyn writes, if re-release is going to be the new norm, if re-release is going to be the new normal for big movies, then it's getting old already. Endgame was an exception because they wanted the record, but no more. I still don't like the fact that Endgame did it. Like, they didn't even have the courtesy of making it a different cut of the movie. They didn't even have the courtesy of saying, hey, we're going to add an extra 2 or 3 minutes into the movie. It was just the exact same movie. I didn't even like it when they did it. Now, and I agree with you, Evelyn. I'm over it already. Now, maybe I'm overreacting to it, and maybe Rob and Erin had the more level-headed kind of view of it, but I really think this is something that needs to be nipped in the bud right now. I think we as movie fans, and again, maybe I'm overreacting to it and everybody else has got the right opinion of it, But I honestly think we as movie fans have to collectively stamp our foot down and say, no, 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 no. Don't you pull this BS. Don't pull this BS. We're not going to stand for it and we're not going to support it. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong about that. All right. Jonathan Teft writes, did you see the trailer for Underwater? We talked about it early in the show and Buy and Sell. Starring Kristen Stewart. I think it looks awesome. Saw some people saying it would be cool if it were a sequel to the movie Life. No. But I doubt that would happen. No, that would not be cool at all. Look, again, it looks like a rehash of a lot of other movies. We went to the bottom of the sea. We disturbed something that shouldn't have been disturbed. Oh, we've only seen that 1,000 times, including recently in The Meg. But I'd be, like I said, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that I did find it appealing. It felt creepy. I felt the claustrophobia. I think could be kind of fun. So I'm not dying to see it or anything like that. But I think it could be fun. As a trailer, on its own merits, I thought it was pretty good. Outside of its own merits, yeah, we just saw it in 100 other movies, but I think it looks pretty okay. Let's put it this way, Jonathan. I'm at least curious to see what the next trailer is going to look like. And the movie doesn't come out till January. I mean, it's still a ways off, so they've got a lot of time to let us know what this movie is going to be about, but I am down with it. All right. M. Dorchester writes, just saw Jaws for the first time, and in my opinion, a bad film. Okay. More funny than scary, and feel like it's only based on the prejudice of fear of sharks. I didn't like it. Hey, look, that's why we say, M, that all film is subjective. Like, to me, I can sit here and say, I think you're crazy, bro, but, that's how the movie hit you. That's the beautiful thing about the subjectivity of film. Every movie hits us each in a different way, in an individual way, and Jaws hit you in such a way that you did not find it enjoyable. I think it's a complete masterpiece. And I think you'd find most people will believe it's a great masterpiece. It is, I think, just one of the most remarkable films ever made. But that doesn't mean your opinion is any less valid than mine. You watched it, it hit you a certain way, and you didn't have the same experience I did. And that's the beautiful thing about movies, my friend. All right. Annie Green writes, which is more iconic, Mjolnir or Cap Shield? I got to go Cap Shield. I definitely think that's an easy one. I think Cap Shield. Don't get me wrong, I love Mjolnir, but I think Cap Shield is probably the more iconic. Kevin Lewis writes, did you ever wonder how heroes, do you mean superheroes, make an income? Well, they explain that with a lot of them. Like, a lot of them have jobs, Batman is, he owns Wayne Industries. Superman works for the Daily Planet. Green Lantern's a fighter pilot. They explain how a lot of them have like regular jobs. The other ones, I'm not sure. That is an interesting question, Kevin. Patrick Conway writes, unfortunately, I will have to cancel my Netflix account due to a price bump coming in Ireland. I hope Disney Plus price will be as good here as it is in the US. I'm not even sure when Disney Plus launches in Ireland. I know they're launching in a couple of places, but I'm not quite sure when it launches in Ireland. Listen, it's great that they're launching with this $7.99. Disney Plus launching at $7.99 is great. It's very competitive, very aggressive. But I don't for a minute believe that they're going to stay at $7.99. I think within a year that's going to bump up to like $11 or $12 or something. But it is a great introductory price, and it wouldn't be great if they stayed there, because that is a great price. M. Dorchester writes, what is your general definition of a plot hole? I mean, look, we could go into an hour-long discussion of it, but I'll basically say this. A plot hole to me is an event or a circumstance that happens in a movie that does not stand up to the logic of another pre-presented set of facts in a movie. All right? So when somebody says, I'm just trying to make up a plot hole right now, where I don't know, somebody jumped into water and didn't get wet. I mean, that's a plot hole. That is something where a set of circumstances happens in a movie that is inconsistent or illogical with another set of presented facts in the movie. That becomes a plot hole. It's a logical inconsistency within the film itself. Like, that couldn't happen because of this. That becomes a plot hole. And, plot holes aren't the worst things in the world. Look at Endgame. Endgame, by my definition, is littered with plot holes. There are some movies you can watch where a plot hole really is disruptive to a movie. And then you can have other movies like Endgame where there's a lot of plot holes, but they really don't disrupt the movie, right? So again, we can go into an hour-long discussion about that. The CTB channel writes, I love how Thor's drunken explanation of the Dark World and Endgame is more entertaining than the actual movie itself. It really was, wasn't it? Now listen, I'm one of these people that I did not hate Thor the Dark World. I don't hate Thor the Dark World. But it was such a massive step down from Kenneth Branagh's first Thor movie that it's that we think about it very, very negatively. And maybe that's fair, maybe that's unfair, but I think you're right. The Thor's description of the events of Dark World in Endgame were probably overall more entertaining than Dark World was itself. Royce Freeman writes, John, since you don't like the prequels of Star Wars, would you say you like them more or less than the special editions? Oh no, I can still watch the special editions. Like, to me, the special editions are not true Star Wars, but they're still 97% of the original Star Wars. I can still watch the special editions and thoroughly enjoy them. I'll get bothered when the special edition elements pop in and out. That'll bother me momentarily. But overall, they're still great movies. Not as good as the originals, but still great movies nonetheless. So I'll say the special editions are better. Harry Mudd writes, been a big fan of MASH for a long time now. Well, I mean, MASH was one of those, I mean, a little before my time, but I mean, they were iconic shows. And a lot of people today, there are still a lot of people today who will consider MASH one of the greatest shows of all time. Certainly was topical. It was of its time, and it had a lasting effect on the industry. A lot of shows today are still influenced by MASH. Nosferatu writes, now you won't believe me if I told you, but I can run. Oh, that's Forrest Gump. Now you won't believe me if I told you, but I can run like the wind blows. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that is Forrest Gump. Murray Reich writes, do you think we will get a Movie Pass / Cinemia-like subscription service again in the near future? Well, I mean, we already do. It's called A-List, Regal, Unlimited. Now, if you mean services that aren't connected to a specific movie theater chain, it will be difficult. And the main reason it will be difficult is this. Movie Pass understood that the only way they could succeed, and this is what made them shady AF, the only way they could succeed is if they amassed a large user base and then extorted and blackmailed movie theater chains into cutting them into a percentage of their concession sales. That was the only way they could work. Movie theater chains like AMC and Regal, they don't have to worry about that because they already get their concession fees. They already get their concession money. So with movie theaters don't make their money from movie tickets. They get a little bit, but they don't really make their money from movie tickets. They only get a small percentage of it. They make their money from people coming into the theaters and buying stuff at the concession stand. That's how movie theaters make their money. So for them to have a movie subscription service where people come in and buy popcorn and buy soda and buy nachos and buy hot dogs and buy whatever else, caramel corn or whatever else you buy, that is what makes it financially viable for them. Any extra theater service, like a Movie Pass or Cinemia that's not connected to its own theater chain, it's going to be very, very difficult because they don't have that concession revenue. So could we? We could, but it would have to be a radical rethinking of the service because without concession stand revenue, it's just not financially viable. And that is there for Regal and AMC. So I'm going to guess no, but it is possible. Harry Mudd writes, I suspect that Fox botched Dark Phoenix on purpose. No, that's ludicrous. That's absolutely ludicrous. All due respect, Harry, all due respect, but I think that's an absolutely ludicrous. No, they did not purposefully botch thing. That's a ridiculous thing. Murray Reich writes, I was thinking, had Home Alone been made post 9/11, the McAllisters wouldn't have made their flight on time. If you're talking about like how fast they can get from being dropped off at the airport actually onto a plane, then yeah, you're probably right. It can take you a while. It can take you a while from when you walk in the front door of an airport to when you can actually get to your plane. It can take a while to do that. Jack Dries writes, just saw Ready or Not, may be my favorite film of 2019. Again, I'm going to go see it tonight. And I'm very, very excited about it. I've been excited about watching this movie for a while. I'm going to go see it tonight. Excited to hear good things about it. All right. Moose Wizard writes, favorite movie of the summer of 2019. Oh, God, man. I don't know. I can't even remember what movies came out in the summer of 2019. I can't even, they all blur together so quick. I guess if we're going to, I can't remember what was in the summer or not. I mean, I guess I'll have to go Lion King. If we're saying, I can't remember though when Booksmart came out. So I don't know. I just can't remember the dates in which movies came out. So assuming that Booksmart wasn't part of the summer, I'll say Lion King was my favorite movie of the summer. Okay. Schuler Jeffness writes, or Skylar. Was that how you pronounce Schuler? Okay, Skylar. New here, love the show. Your dream reboot. Dream reboot? I don't know that I have a dream reboot. I mean, there are definitely older movies I would love to see them make another one of, but not necessarily as a reboot. All right, I'll go with one, Megaforce. You guys hear me talk about Megaforce all the time. That would probably be my dream reboot, Megaforce. Life is like a wheel. It all comes around. Harry Mudd writes, kill Rambo like Rogan in a blaze of glory. Oh, like you're saying you think in the movie Rambo should die at the end. I don't think he will. I don't think he will. I mean, that is one of the options available to them. Obviously, that's a very classic Hollywood out for the hero to have him go down in a blaze of glory. But I don't think that Stallone's going to let him die, to be honest with you. I think he's going to want to keep his options open. We'll see, though. It's certainly possible. Jeffrey Bynes writes, Joseph Loeb, Marvel TV will be on Disney Plus. Thoughts? Irrelevant. It's fine. Now, we already know that one of the Disney Plus, or one of the Disney Marvel television projects is going to be on Hulu, and that's Ghost Rider. That's going to be on Hulu, not on Disney Plus. Really, I have no thoughts at all. I'm not really a big fan of any of the Marvel TV stuff. I mean, I liked the first season of Agent Carter. I liked the first season of that. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a piece of garbage show. I mean, I wish I could say I liked it, but I don't. So kind of, to me, it's an irrelevant thought right now. Though the one thing is for sure, though, they're going to have to be very, very careful about how they differentiate what happens in Marvel TV series versus the MCU, because they're going to want to make a distinction between those. Tristan Larson writes, John, oh my God, no, 30 Rock is amazing. Hey, you're not alone, Tristan. A lot of people, a lot of friends of mine absolutely love 30 Rock. Absolutely love 30 Rock. But, yeah, for me, it was all right. I didn't dislike it. But it just didn't, it's an all right show to me. But a lot of people love it, man. A lot of people love it. All right, here. Where are we at? Sorry, I had a little bit of a jump. Okay, Alex Good writes, I don't mind having ads before a movie, but went to a showing of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and got one trailer with ads. What the hell happened to my theater? 25 minutes, by the way. Ooh. Yeah, I have a tolerance for trailers because I like trailers. So I don't mind trailers before a movie. I don't want 25 minutes of trailers before a movie. Like oh my God, like you tell me the movie, it says showtime, 7:00. Okay, start the damn movie at 7:00. I paid for my seat. I'm not here as a freebie. You didn't let me in for free. So you let me, look, online, yeah, I get it. If I'm watching a free service, okay, I'm going to have to watch some ads because that helps you pay for everything. I'm not paying you for it. I'm getting to watch it for free. So I get it. I got to watch some ads. No problem. But when I pay you to come in, you shouldn't, I should say, get to show me 25 minutes of ads. Nah, I paid $15 to come in here to take my seat for a showtime that you advertise says starts at 7. Start the damn movie at 7. Don't start at 7:20 or 7:25 or 7:30. I paid to be here. But I've got a certain tolerance for trailers because trailers are part of the movie-going experience to a degree. What I cannot abide is commercials. Ford commercials, feminine hygiene product commercials, M&M commercials, whatever, new .com commercials. That I cannot abide. that I will just lose my crap on, and I'll stop going to a movie theater. If the movie's supposed to start at 7, like if the movie's supposed to start at 7 and you show me commercials from 6:50 to 7 o'clock, no problem. Hey, that's before you said the movie started, so whatever you want to put on screen before the movie starts, that's up to you. But before showtime, that I can't complain about that. But once 7 o'clock hits, you better not be showing me commercials. Because if you showed me commercials, then you're telling me part of the money I paid was so I could sit here and watch a commercial. No way. No way. I'm just not going back to that theater. Not today. And I'm losing my patience for them even doing it with trailers because it's getting so long. They got to fix this, man. It's BS. Anyway, Ben Rayner writes, I agree with you, John, about Far From Home. I hope it's not going to be the norm. Also, FYI, the extra scene from Endgame, not in the digital or Blu-ray, which is some BS, but apparently it's a completely unfinished thing that everybody said wasn't that important anyway. So, but that's kind of some BS right there. Complete BS, Ben. Man, I hate it when they do crap like that. Anyway, Weed Richards, I like the name. Weed Richards writes, would you like to see serious Deadpool like he was in the early 90s, maybe in the style of Winter Soldier? Not really. I mean, it's just that's not what Deadpool is now. And it's not. What made Deadpool popular is the Merc with the Mouth angle. And I wouldn't, crap on any studio that wanted to try it. I wouldn't be down for it. I wouldn't myself. I love Deadpool as he is. Give us more of this Deadpool, which is one of the reasons, Weed, why I really want him to stay rated R. Keep him out of the MCU, make him R. He's been the most successful R-rated film in history without being connected to the MCU. Great. You don't need to make Deadpool connected to the MCU. Deadpool does not need the MCU. Keep him out of it. Make him rated R. Do it right. But they probably won't, so I'm kind of bummed out about that. Harry Mudd writes, I did not hit her. Oh, hi, Nat. Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, I did not. Yeah, I mean, that movie, The Room. If you haven't seen The Room, by the way, you really just so you can say you did, make sure you watch The Room. Epic Berserker writes, hello, John, just stepping by to say hi and crew. Well, thank you so much, Epic. It's good to see you here. Is Universal looking at Hobbs and Shaw, which I liked, but are they looking at it and think it's disappointing? Boo to consider for a sequel? No, they're definitely doing a sequel. They're definitely doing a sequel. I mean, as of right now, it's already sitting at $438 million worldwide, and it still has some international markets to open up in. By the way, I believe it still hasn't opened in China yet. I believe it has not opened in China. Let me just check on something here. Nope, it is playing. They are going to be playing it in China, I believe, and it has not opened there yet. Let me just double check here on something. Hobbs and Shaw. IMDb, because I want to get this, make sure I'm 100% right about this, because I'm not totally sure that I am. Okay. So, it is opening. Is it getting in China? Yes, it is opening in China later this week. So it is just opened in South Korea. It's going to open in China later this week, and then it still has to open in Greece. So they're obviously looking at, they're not going to make $300 million in China, don't get me wrong, but they're going to add to their total too. So you're going to see Hobbs and Shaw as a first spin-off movie go over $500 million. So no, they're not looking at this as a disappointment. I mean, would they have had hopes that it would have done better than this? Yeah, I think they would have had hopes, but I think it's high enough that it's certainly not in their disappointing range. They're definitely going to make a sequel to this. I have no doubt about that. JBZ73 writes, Blinded by the Light was great. Have you seen it? Somebody else brought that up a little bit earlier. No, it's one of the 5 films that opened up this week. I saw a couple of them, but that's one of the ones that I didn't have a chance to see this week yet, but I've been very excited about it. I'm going to check that out. I think I'm going to do that and The Farewell as a double feature. I think I'm going to do those both. Epic Berserker writes, Rooker, I'm fast and furious, y'all. If he doesn't say that in the movie, now you've ruined it for me, Epic. You've ruined it for me, because now if he doesn't say that in the movie, I'm going to be horrendously disappointed. All right, Valhalla Erickson writes, Stan Lee created Spider-Man in an attempt to subvert the sidekick concept. Do you think what the MCU has done discredits Lee's vision of the character? Well, look, first of all, I love Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man. I love him. That doesn't mean I love everything. Like, I love Star Wars, but that doesn't mean I love everything about Star Wars. I love this incarnation of Spider-Man. I really do. But there are things about it that bother me. Most notably is that they turned him into Iron Man Jr. They even gave him his nifty own little Iron Man Jr. iron costume, which I think is complete BS. So I hate that aspect. But do I overall think that they have discredited Lee's vision of the character? No, I don't. I think what they have done is, like, when you watch Far From Home, I don't get the sense that he's a sidekick at all. If anything, we see a character development of him becoming, like, really his own man. And I think that's part of the journey for him. Look, some people misunderstand when I say I don't like the Iron Man Jr. aspect. I'm not saying I don't like his relationship with Tony. Not at all. I love the relationship with Tony. I do. I love the relationship with Tony. What I don't like was that they had to give him, like, Spider-Man's not cool enough. He's got to be an Iron Man, just like Tony Stark. So let's give him an Iron Man costume. He's not a real superhero unless he's got an internal heads-up display and that he can do all these computer. Spider-Man's not cool without an Iron Man costume. That's the part I object to. Not the dynamic in the relationship with Tony. I think that's great. And I think it's going to be a part of his character arc and development as a hero. So because of that arc, no, I don't think that discredits Lee's vision for the character at all. I think they're moving him in towards that. I just wish they would give him a real Spider-Man costume and not make him Iron Man Jr. That's the only thing that I wish. Anyway, Joshua Mitchell writes, John, I saw you on Kitchen Nightmares. It's fake. Well, whatever. I don't know what you mean by that, but I was on Kitchen Nightmares and I did love the food when I got served by Chef Gordon Ramsay. It was pretty damn great. I loved it. Anyway, Static Space Sean writes, just got tickets to meet Chris Hemsworth, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Brie Larson at a con. I know it will be a quick photo, but super excited to meet them. By the way, I actually like that a lot. There's this thing you do at a lot of, it didn't used to be this way, but now at these conventions, you can in advance buy a pass of some sorts that gets you to get a picture, actually meet and get a picture with one of these stars. Now, the bigger the star, the more you got to pay. But honestly, as a fan, like, if I had a chance, like if Steven Spielberg was doing that, which he never would, but I don't know that there's an amount of money that I wouldn't pay to at least meet the man, shake his hand, and get my picture. That's a photo I'll treasure forever. I actually like it. Now, sometimes can it be a little too expensive? Yes. But, you know, there are demands on these actors' time. Like, their time is really expensive. So I don't mind them charging for that. Honestly, I know a lot of people say, we're their fans, so they should just do that for free. No, their time is really super valuable. And the time that they spend to be there for 4 hours taking pictures, they could be off shooting a movie somewhere, but instead they're here. So, and by the way, a lot of these celebrities, they get a chunk of that, but then for a lot of the times, some of the money they get for that, they give to various charities. But at any rate, I like that stuff. So good on you. That's great. I think it's wonderful because you're going to get to have a picture with you and some of your favorite stars, and you're going to have that picture forever. What's that worth? To me, it's worth quite a bit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't spend $1,000 or anything like that, but to me, it's worth quite a bit. And I like that they do that, and I like that we have that opportunity to do it, and I'm glad you're going to get that chance, Static Space Sean. Okay, C-Spice writes, live chat says, hashtag justice for KW Garrett. Oh, I love that. I'm going to have a chat with Erin. I'm going to have a chat with Erin. Because while I appreciate Erin so ferociously wanting to come to my defense, I love Erin. I love Erin deeply. And Erin is a loyal friend. So I appreciate it. Great. I will have to, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to have a little sit down and chat with Erin about this. I will. So don't worry about that. Hashtag justice for KW Garrett. I love it. I love it. Hold on a second. I got to do that myself. Give me 1 second here. Hashtag justice for KW Garrett. I got to put that up myself. That's just too good. I like that. Thank you for sharing that, C-Spice. It seems like right. Erin is so freaking hilarious. What a show today. Erin is great. She's completely passionate and goes on. Look, she says she has some opinions on things that I think are nuts, but that's part of, but then again, so does Rob. Rob has some opinions that I think are nuts, and I have opinions that I think they're nuts. That's one of the things I love about them particularly, and Chris as well, by the way, is none of them are afraid to say things to disagree with each other, nor to disagree with me. And we can, and I love having people that will have, specifically because they will have different opinions than me, because I think different opinions should be represented. So I kind of love that. But yeah, Erin, man, fiery redhead, my friend, fiery redhead. That was C-Spice. Anyway, Elijah Solomon writes, where'd we go? Elijah Solomon writes, recently watched Bronson. What did you think of it? If you're talking about the run with Tom Hardy, I think it's great. If we're talking about the same movie, then yeah, I think that's great. It's really the one that kind of put him on the map for a lot of people. Not everybody saw it, but it's particularly with filmmakers and indie fans. That's the one that put him on the map for a lot of people. So I thought it was quite good, Elijah. Anyway, Keith on, where are we at? Oh yeah, Keith on. Toothman writes, just joined your Patreon. Can I see the anniversary? Yeah, you should be able to see the anniversary, actually. If you go through, as a Patreon supporter, if you go through and you're on the Patreon page and you're registered, you should be able to go through the posts and you should be able to find a way to watch the anniversary. There you go. Just remember, I'm very proud of it. But by real filmmaker standards, my movie's a piece of shit. By real filmmaker standards, my movie's an absolute piece of shit. But I am completely proud of it. As a dude who is not a filmmaker, who wrote, directed, and produced it myself, and just put it together, I'm supremely proud of it. Supremely proud of it. Even if that asshole KW Garrett doesn't like what I did with the fonts. Screw you, KW. That's good. I'm supremely proud of it. I really am. Anyway, Dominic Francis writes, saw Lion King with the family, enjoyed it, really like Scar, but the Long Live the King line fell flat. Beyonce's song was dreadful and didn't fit in. That is my one criticism of Lion King, which I love. Not as good as the original animated one, but I love this Lion King. But my one big standout thing there were two, only one's a big thing though, and they both involve Beyonce. One was that song did not fit in. Like Aladdin included a new original song, right? Speechless, that Naomi Scott sings. That was perfect for that. I mean, not only is it a great song, with the way they put it in the movie, it was great. I loved it. So I'm not against putting in a new song, but that new Beyonce song they put in the movie did not fit, did not work, and it didn't even need to be there. Like Speechless was integral to the narrative of the movie in Aladdin, whereas this was just, and now, ladies and gentlemen, here's a new song by Beyonce, and I did not like that. Also, I thought some of the lines that Beyonce, and I don't know if it was the writing or if it was the way Beyonce delivered it, but lions, attack. That didn't work for me either. But these are just small moments in the film. Overall, I think the movie's bloody brilliant. But those are a couple of things that I also did not enjoy that much, Dominic. Ben Rayner writes, note to self, never reviews John movie in front of Erin. Just kidding. Wow, epic rant. Best show yet, your chemistry. And again, guys, please, you do have to forgive Erin. She's just fiercely loyal, and will defend the people she loves like angrily and vehemently. So first of all, thank you to all you guys who are being good sports about it. I appreciate that, because I'm sitting here listening to her I'm going, oh my God, I'm never going to hear the end of this. But no, seriously, thank you guys for being such good sports about it. I appreciate it. I know Erin will appreciate it too. Okay. Final question of the day. As we wrap things up here, S. Beam writes, hey John, love the show. Zevia is delicious. BOTF, I don't know what that means, but Zevia is delicious. For those of you wondering what he's talking about, you've heard, whenever you see this cup here, what is usually 99% of the time in the cup is this thing called Zevia Cola. And here's what happened. So ages ago, when I would do the movie blog audio edition, I would literally go through a 2-liter bottle of Coke. And then I realized, oh my God, how many calories am I consuming just by drinking Coca-Cola? And I decided, okay, I need to switch to diet soda. So I switched to diet soda, particularly Diet Pepsi. I'm weird that way. I prefer Coke over Pepsi, but I prefer Diet Pepsi over Diet Coke. Not sure why, but I do. So anyway, I started drinking a lot of Diet Pepsi, thinking, I'm not consuming all these calories. But then I started reading all this stuff about how bad for you artificial sweeteners are and all these terrible things they can do to your body, right? So I'm like, well, crap. If I'm not sipping on soda, then I'll be eating and snacking. It's like, I got to have something to drink. Anyway, so then a friend of mine recommended, and then I read some doctor stuff on it too. This cola you can get is called Zevia, and it has no artificial sweeteners or sugar. It doesn't have any sugar or artificial sweeteners in it either. And I thought, And so I tried it, and it's like, you know what? This is actually pretty good. And then I've kind of been hooked on Zevia ever since. I don't drink a 2-liter bottle of it a day, granted. I maybe have a can a day. But yeah, so I switched to it. So if any of you guys are looking for something to break your soda habit, like you don't want to drink regular sodas, but you don't want to drink the artificial stuff either, I highly recommend Zevia. It's a little bit more expensive than regular soda, but it's actually pretty good, and it works for me. So I'm glad you're into it as well, S-Beam. All right, guys, that will do it for me. And by the way, I am not sponsored by Zevia, but actually now that I think about it, why the hell not Zevia? Why isn't Zevia sponsoring this show? I'm probably the highest profile person promoting your damn product every day. You should at least be sending me some free damn stuff, Zevia. Anyway. Okay, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of it. Listen, don't forget, tomorrow, the John Campea Show returns. It's going to be me, Robert Meyer Burnett, once again. And, of course, Chris Carr will be here as well. And, hey, guys, also, just so you know, tomorrow, my new game group is getting together. I've got a Dungeons & Dragons group I play with on Saturday nights or on Sunday nights. But I'm starting up a new Star Wars role-playing game tomorrow night. And it's going to be me. It's going to be Chris Carr. It's going to be Robert Meyer Burnett. It's going to be my friend who's literally a rocket scientist. His name's Brennan. He's going to be here playing. And my buddy Chris, who's like a vice president over at Dark Horse. And we're going to be playing the Star Wars role-playing game. Now, I am not going to professionally record us playing the game, all right? But I will shoot us playing the game. And I will put up segments of us playing the game on the channel because I know a lot of you guys have been asking to see that. But just so you know, I'm not going to set up multiple cameras and professionally shoot an audio and all that I'm not going to do any of that crap. I want to focus on playing my game. But we are going to set up a camera and record it, and I will put that up on the channel so you guys can see us playing a little bit of there's the book there, right there. That blue book, that's the Star Wars West End Games role-playing games D6 edition. That's the one we're playing. I'm very excited about it. I'm so stoked. I haven't played a Star Wars D6 game in a while, so I'm very, very stoked about it. And I'll put that up on the channel as well. And of course, this weekend, D23 is happening. Me and Chris Carr are going to D23. We're going to be doing reports about what we're seeing at D23, all that kind of stuff. Keep your eyes open for that. So guys, that'll do it for me for now. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for hanging in. Thanks for being a part of the community. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.